because I work in the four-wheel drive and outdoors industry, I've got a huge network of interesting people. It's the campfire conversations, it's the pub conversations, it's all that stuff that I sit and talk about with people who have become my mates from working together. And I'm like, I'm sure people would be interested in this stuff.
Tony, the outer side.
Hello, mate.
How are you, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good.
You've come up to Brizzy for the show.
Yeah, so a little bit tired. Been in the car with my 10-month-old daughter since, well, we left last night and did coughs and then did the rest of the run up today. So a little bit tired, but still firing.
Still firing. Well, you're off the beers, so
Yes.
you know at least you don't got to worry about that for the next few days.
Well, don't let me hold you back, mate. You're more than welcome.
Yeah, no, we've I've pulled it back a bit because I don't drink that much anymore. So I'm really only kind of having beers or whatever when we're filming.
Yeah.
And then it kind of depends on who we're filming with, and how loose we get. We did one. We had James from Pirate Camp Co down.
Yep.
And yeah, we were a bit loose before we started, and then I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, we finished dealing with beers, and I busted out the bloody Jack and the cigar, and it was just,
Mate, it won't be happening with me tonight. I've been off it for 4 months, so if I had a couple of beers, I reckon I'd be legless.
Look, I the next day I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm not 20 anymore. Can't be doing that too often. Holy shit! And I'm like, I've started this on and off this bloody carnivore thing, trying to get back into a bit of shape and, well, technically less shape than I am now. Got about probably 15 kilos, I reckon, to get down. I want to get back down around 100, but it's not eating as much and sweating in the shed all day. And if I don't keep up the water, then you punch a couple of beers and it's like, anyone's pretty quick. So, you know, we're just, I've never had a drama with drinking, so I'm not like, I'm not one to go like, I won't drink anymore. But I've definitely curbed it. Like, a few years ago, I was, punching a 6-pack or 2 a night and not looking after myself. I think I was a flea's dick under 140 kilos.
Yeah, right.
Like, there was a photo of me kicking around in somewhere with the B105 morning crew. We were doing some stuff with them, and it's like, I was a pretty big boy.
I didn't stop drinking for any other reason than I just wanted to have a break.
Yeah.
But with no change to diet, I've dropped 10 kilos in 4 months.
Yeah, right.
That's just the beers.
Wow.
Like, it's phenomenal how quickly, like, all those additional calories that you're having, as soon as you cut them out, you just start dropping that weight.
Yeah, my biggest ones is the additional calories that come when I've had a few beers, because I'll get on like Uber Eats and and just go stupid.
Yeah, eat a whole pizza at 11 o'clock at night or something silly.
You justify it by going like, oh, look, it's thin and crispy, but it's, extra large and it's got like 17 add-ons, so got half a cow on the thing. But no, it's good. It's good that that's a bloody, 10 kilos in 4
it's crazy,
months with just that. That's awesome. Can you feel the difference? Or
everyone asks me that, They're like, oh, do you feel amazing?
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel normal.
Yeah.
But then I think about it, and I say that to my wife, and she's like, of course you feel different. You're not hungover.
Well, yeah, there's that.
And I'm not like a big drinker during the week, but I'll get stuck into it on the weekends.
Yeah.
And for me, the four-wheel drive trips are the problem. Because, like you go camping and you have a few beers.
Yeah.
But then when you start camping for work and the trips are 2 weeks long and you have a few beers every night, at the end of the 2 weeks you get back and you're cooked.
Yeah.
So that was actually what prompted me to stop. I did like a pretty hectic trip down to Tassie at the end of last year.
Yeah, with 24/7.
Yeah, with four-wheel drive 24/7. And like, I just had a run of bad luck. I just broke so much shit on the car.
That was the one where you wrapped the winch rope through the drive shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Brand new winch set up in the car. First time I used the winch, the solenoid failed.
Yeah.
The winch ran on and exploded.
Yeah.
So that was sick. That was like an $8,000 winch just exploded.
Wow.
So then I went to a mate's place, bought a winch off him for like $3,500, put that in the car, and then drove into a bog hole, and that wrapped around the tail shaft, snapped the transfer case in half.
Yeah.
And cooked the front diff.
Yeah.
So
in Tassie.
Yeah. And so needless to say, I didn't have a great trip. So there were a few
catalysts.
There were a few beers being deleted on that trip, and I got back and I just felt like depleted.
Yeah.
So I just went, I'm going to stop drinking for a bit. And I haven't set like a time frame. I'm not like, I won't drink for X number of days, weeks, months, whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I know, there's lots of different stuff. Like we had Glenn Haddon on
Oh, yeah.
Episode 4 of last season, and he'd had his stomach operation done, and he was down quite a bit of weight already. Then he had his accident, and I saw we've caught up a few times since that, because he got pretty busted up pretty bad. And we've caught up a few times, and I saw him the other day. He's posted a video of taking the first sip of his first beer since it all, and he's like, yeah, because I know what it's like. Even when I haven't had a drink for a few weeks, and it's like, I'll behave for a while, or I've just gotten to a point where the work is just flat out, and I need to be fully coherent.
You've got to be on, right?
Yeah. And then that time where you get to just go, all right, okay, cool. That was the last one out. I've got a bit of a breather. I can actually have a weekend, and you're like, I'm going to grab a beer, and it's just, there's nothing sweeter. Yeah, I do like a beer.
Yeah, I mean, so do I. That's why when you said, were you serious about the sparkling water?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because, like, you just don't know. You got to clarify these things.
Well, I've turned it into a bit of a joke, but like, I live on sparkling water, eh? That's been like the replacement for me, and it's a pretty healthy replacement. I'm pretty sure there's no ill effects from drinking excessive quantities of sparkling water.
I can't imagine it.
Well, I'd hope not, because if so, I'll probably die soon.
Well, look, we got you the sparkling.
No, you got the good stuff, mate.
There you go. Well, look, cheers for coming down.
Yeah, thank you.
Bloody into it anyway. But
nice little healthy podcast for you.
There you go. Look, I won't. We've just been moving house, so we sort of shut the shop for a couple of days to just go. Look, I need to concentrate on this.
Yeah.
And we've gone from, I was telling you earlier, we've gone from about an hour and 10 minutes worth of driving each day to like 9 minutes now. So that also means the Ubers home when we do have a few drinks are like nice and cheap.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was more of a just taking time to sort of reset everything, and this year has already been mental.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, we're halfway through March already, and I think that's like a symptom of getting old. When you're like, the years are flying by, and you're like, oh, damn, I'm one of those old guys now.
Yeah. Well, how old are you?
I'm turning 40 tomorrow.
Hey, there you go. Happy birthday for tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be at the Brisbane four-wheel drive show, which is, exactly where you want to spend your birthday.
Yeah. Well, this will be. We sort of rotate these. This will be probably a couple of weeks, I reckon, before this one comes out, because we tend to bank them up a little bit.
Yeah, it helps, man.
It's one of those, because I want to talk to you about yours too, because it's one of those things for us that I think at one point we were about 6 episodes ahead, and I was like, geez, we've got to start being careful what we're talking about. But then at the same time, because we're not, like, none of the stuff for us, like, I mean, if you're Joe Rogan, then fine. Everybody hears it the next day and it's all relevant right now.
Yeah.
But, for us, people will be watching it. We still get notifications going, I just found you guys. And it's like they're watching something from, 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think by the time we've got enough, followers and subscribers and all that sort of stuff that we're having those sorts of conversations that are kind of maybe not time sensitive, but a little bit more timely. We'll probably be doing this more full time anyway, because it's at the moment we're still just doing it with industry people, with outside of industry people. We've had a lot of directional change from the very beginning. But what was yours? How did you decide to start this? What happened?
That's a good question. I guess the prompt for me was that because I work in the industry, like in the four-wheel drive and outdoors industry, I've got a huge network of interesting people. And it's the campfire conversations, it's the pub conversations, it's all that stuff that I sit and talk about with people who have become my mates from working together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sure people would be interested in this stuff because I find it interesting.
Yep.
And I'm not anyone special. It's just, all these people that have led really fascinating lives, have done heaps of cool stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, well, why don't we just film that and put it on the internet?
Yep.
Because I'm sure there's an appetite for it. And I mean, I didn't have any sort of expectations in terms of, I want X number of followers or subscribers, or I want to get this many views. I didn't really care about that. It was just I was doing it because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And it's grown much faster than I thought it was ever going to.
Yeah.
And the feedback's been fantastic. People saying, "Oh, this is sick. There's nothing really like this, and it seems really casual, and it's like I'm just sitting around the campfire with you." And I'm like, "Okay, good."
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going for, right?
That's it.
I sort of had the idea maybe 18 months ago now.
Yeah.
And then I registered the business, set up all the socials, and then did nothing.
Yeah.
And it was really like self-doubt. Like I was just in my own head.
Yeah.
And I got ADHD, so I think a lot.
Yeah. Right there with you.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, maybe no one will care.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll do it and everyone will hate it.
Yeah.
And then I was sort of thinking, well, you're doing it for yourself anyway, so who gives a shit?
Exactly.
But I was having this sort of like internal debate, and then my wife just turned around one day and went, "Why haven't you done that yet?
Yeah.
Just do it."
Yeah.
And I said to her, I don't know if anyone cares. She was like, "People will care, just do it."
Yeah.
And so she was the one that gave me that like sort of final shove to do it.
Yeah.
So I started in, I think maybe June last year.
Yep.
I shot my first episode. And like you said, I was trying to bank as many as I could because I committed to doing weekly episodes.
Yeah.
Which seemed like a heaps good idea.
Yeah.
But my first child was born in May.
Yep.
And I started the podcast in June, and I work full time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great idea to do weekly.
No. Yeah.
And I got like 5 shot, and I was like, "Oh, this is crazy."
Yeah.
And then a couple of work trips, get sick, daughter's sick. All of a sudden, I'm like shooting and releasing the same week, and it becomes stressful. And I'm like, "Oh,
yes."
Right. And I'm doing it all myself, so like I'm obviously presenting them, filming them, editing them, doing all the socials.
Yeah.
It's been hectic, but it's fun, man. Like I've really enjoyed it.
Look, that was our whole thing in the beginning too. And for anybody who's heard this, sorry, but
Bad luck.
But mine started when I met Barney.
Oh, true.
And 2018 four-wheel drive show, and just was stood in line and went up and had a quick chat, got a photo, whatever, and we held up the line talking shit for 20 minutes. And afterwards, I was like, because when you're standing in line, like because I was not really aware that I was kind of even doing it, but I was listening to the conversations that I could hear before me, right? And there was a few of them that had said or asked basically the same thing. And so all I wanted to do was ask something different.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I gave him a business card and was like, look, if you're ever floating around Brendale, there's always beers in the fridge. And that was obviously the winning ticket. And he come down and we just started talking shit. And I asked him, I was like how many times do you guys answer the same fucking questions at these shows? And he's just like, he wouldn't believe it. So that was my kind of, I marinated on that for a while. We shot the first episode of this in just the week before the lockdown.
Oh, true.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, the fall drive show has been cancelled. We can't talk about that. And then this has changed and we can't talk about that. And so by the time I'd edited it down so it had all the bits out of it that needed to be out of it, it was really segmented and broken. I was like, hey, this is shit. We'll just wait.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep going with it, but everyone was like, nobody will come down. Like everyone's behaving and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I just put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
And then last year, probably 25 now, so 23, I went, all right, let's just get this room sorted, get everything sorted, get ready to go, and spent sort of 6 months putting it all together and just went, fuck it, we'll just do it. Because my whole thing was, like, the followers that you get out of it and that sort of stuff, okay, cool. But it's actually gone because this is generating more interest for the workshop and I'm trying to transition out of the workshop. It's like this double-edged blade where I'm really enjoying it, but it's generating inquiry to get me out there more. And I'm like, it's a good problem to have, but because I don't like saying no to people, so I'm finding myself doing stupid hour days.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, they've seen it, they've reached out, they want to get something done. Like, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, own worst enemy in that regard.
Well,
but
one of the mechanics that works on, basically my main mechanic that works on both of the cars.
Yeah.
He's got so many sick stories. He was in the winch truck scene 30 years ago. He's been doing conversions, was at the cutting edge of FTE conversions back in the day. Right. He's got so much sick stuff to talk about. Yeah. And I'm always hustling him. I'm like, come on, mate.
Yeah.
Come on the podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, no.
No,
because he
I
doesn't
don't.
want to generate any business because he's
Yeah.
like, I'm over it. I just want to bolt on bull bars and spotlights. I don't want to do engine conversions. I don't want to do all this crazy shit. And I know if I get on your podcast, you're going to ask me about all the stuff I used to do, and people are going to want it.
That's it.
So yeah, I fully get it. He's like, no, I don't want to promote anything. I just want to. He's happy with his business as it is. You know.
Yeah, it's well, look, I mean, we did that. We did that a little bit. Like we've changed it up a bit, and I'm definitely pickier now with what we take on.
Yeah.
Especially because like for Monday to Friday, it's just me.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I do the bookings, the work, whether it's a like the wall of bits and pieces, like whether it's a respray or a chop or whatever. It's like that's me from start to finish. So I try and keep myself so that I can book like the next few weeks and I know roughly what's happening and I know roughly what to expect. But then we had one a couple of weeks ago, the 200 series in that was coming in just for an underbody.
Yeah.
And got up on the hoist, started doing a clean, and the whole front member was like you could fit your fingers in all the holes of rust.
Oh no.
I'm like, dude, this is
On a 200.
On a 200.
Yeah, crazy.
And I'm like, mate, I can't do it. That's got to be cut out and replaced.
Yeah.
I can't do anything
This
with
car's
that.
a death trap.
Yeah, and he's like, well, you know, I'm only doing it to sell it. You know, I'm like, mate, wrong shop.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've cleaned it. You can go somewhere else and say it's had a clean, but I'm not spraying over that. That's you know, and it's like right out near where the recovery points are.
Yeah, because some poor bastard will buy it and then someone will get hurt, right?
Exactly. And he's like, yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. You know, because it didn't even have a bull bar. It was still a plastic, fascia with a alley nudge bar. So it's like stock recovery hooks. And he's like, yeah, no, that makes sense. No, we'll do it right. So that went from an overnight booking to like a week and a half.
Yeah.
But, you know, to Toyota's credit, they still made the part and we ordered it, got it in, did it, so it's all good. But, yeah, you get some curveballs like that, just can really throw. Because then I'm expecting about, 8 hours worth of work on this. So the rest of the week is booked. That's an 8-hour job.
Yeah.
Now I'm, stripping the front end, cutting sections out, and it's like...
And then you run out of hours, right? That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, well, I worked out if there's no traffic issues on that old the drive that I've been doing to Bribey and back, if there's no traffic issues, I'm averaging 12 hours a week in the car.
Yeah, right.
And now I'm down to 9 minutes each way. So it's like, if shit goes wrong now, at least if I'm doing a late one...
Not far from home.
No, I can just... 9 minutes, 10 minutes, you're home. Whereas I've been doing where we've been here, I've been here till 9, 10 o'clock, and then it's still an hour home.
Yeah, that sucks.
And it's not great. But you said you doing a bit of a drive now too yourself.
Yeah, so I work, so during the week, I'm the group marketing manager at GME. So I've been there for coming up to 10 years. I'm a Sydney boy originally, and GME's based in Western Sydney, which is where I used to live. So I was like 10 minutes away from work. It was sick.
Yeah.
However, it meant I spent way longer in the office. So I would stay back until 7, 8 at night because I'd know that it wasn't far away.
Yeah.
Now I'm up the Central Coast, so in New South Wales, so I'm like an hour from the office, but I work 2 days a week in the office and 3 days a week at home. So I've got a good balance.
Yeah, nice.
And now it's funny because now I do longer hours when I'm working from home.
Yeah.
But when I go to Sydney to the office, I get in early and I leave early because I want to miss the traffic.
Yeah,
so it's just sense. Like, I guess you can thank COVID because that just, I work from home for like 8 months.
Yeah, right.
And being in marketing, they're kind of like, well, if you've got a computer, you can do 90% of your job anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You miss out on the social stuff. And like, obviously as a manager, I've got a team. So like, I think the biggest challenge is knowledge transfer from me to them.
Yeah, that's always hard.
Because when we're working remotely, it's the stuff that you pick up from people when you're just like around them.
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit of a challenge. So we've had to kind of change the way we train people and upskill younger staff. But in terms of like the work that I do, I reckon I'm heaps more productive when I'm at home. So and that was a motivator for us to move up the coast, right? Like we went lifestyle, fishing, 4-wheel driving, camping. That's what me and my wife love to do.
Yeah.
So why don't we move to the place that we usually drive through or to anyway?
Yeah.
It's been sick. It's been really good for us as a family, and like being able to get up and go fishing before work is mad.
Yeah, I'd be late. I would be late every morning.
There's always that challenge, but and then like even on a Friday, Harvey, like knock off work, have the car packed already, and just jump in a jet and I'm in the state forest in 30 minutes. Like, I can't beat that.
Look, that was our goal for Bribey too.
Yeah.
And we were there for, I'm going to say about 8 months, 7-8 months. And I think I stood on the beach 5 times.
Yeah, working too much.
Yeah, it's been a thing of late trying to work out how to pull it back a bit and just manage. Because like I started this in the beginning was for fun. Like I had my old shop up the coast, built that up, sold that, moved back down to Brizzy, had a few jobs for 12 months, and reminded myself that I'm a shit employee. And I was like, look, I'll rent a bit of space off a mate, and just as long as the bills are paid and there's beer in the fridge, like I'm happy.
Yeah.
And it just kept going, just kept getting busier, and then COVID hit and it went stupid, and we never took a day off.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like the on-flow from that is we didn't do much of the socials because everything was repeat and referral because we were open and everybody spending money on cars.
That was a crazy time, mate.
Yeah.
For the aftermarket, it was sick.
It was. I think the last year of it, I think we did it was $5 or $6 grand worth of merch, and it was just people that walked in the door. Like, I still don't have an online store. Just shirts and hats and shit. Like, we never had like a heap of stuff. But it was just, I couldn't keep up with it. No. And that sort of made me, hire some people that I probably shouldn't have hired, and, because then you got that whole juggle. But I was like, when we came back at the end of 22, I came back in 23, I was like, on my own, I'm just going to do me. And that's been good, but me just doing me has been me doing everything. Yeah. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, I want a bit of lifestyle back.
Yeah.
Book a bit of work in the beginning of the week and start going out and camping again, because we're working it out. Cancun is my spot. That's where I love going. And I haven't been there since, I'm pretty sure it was early 22.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the last time I went away. Like, this is shit.
Yeah.
I'm in the industry that promotes all of it, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and that's a common thing, right? Like, lots of the people that are promoting the lifestyle and that are in the industry don't live it because they're too busy doing other stuff. Yeah. And I'm lucky in that my wife is as fanatical about it as I am. So if we haven't been away for a while, she's like tapping her foot, like, we haven't been on a trip. She said it to me the other night. She's like, yeah, great, you're booking all these work trips for this year.
Yeah.
When are we going away? Yeah. So every year we try and do at least one big touring trip. So we do like a minimum of 2 weeks a year.
Yeah. Okay.
Last year we did Kangaroo Island. So from New South Wales Central Coast straight across the middle, did Kangaroo Island, and then came back along that Limestone Coast, Fleurieu Peninsula, Great Ocean Road, Vic High Country home.
Wow.
My wife was 7 months pregnant, and she's the one that was like, let's go.
Yeah, right.
And all these people are like, I can't believe you're making your wife do this. I'm like, she's the one that's making me do it. Not making me. I was pretty happy, but she was keen as for it. And, like 80 series, 35s, 4-inch lift, 7-month pregnant wife. Yeah. It was challenging for her.
But, I can imagine.
But I'm lucky because she's always pushing me like, we got to go. Let's go camping. Haven't been camping for a month. Let's go. Yeah. So I'm really lucky in that respect. I don't have to like convince anyone or, get brownie points.
Well, look, the other side of the coin too is it's like, 7 months, it's probably about your cutoff, because then it's like you're getting too heavy. And
and you don't want to be like going into labour at the top of like Blue Rag Range Trig or something like that.
No. And then, then there's you got a bit of downtime. Was that your first or your second?
Yeah, first.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, no, that wouldn't, I remember when I was like, my first, God, I don't think we took him to the shopping centre for about 3 months.
Oh, really?
Just freaking out,
Yeah, we were all right with that. Like, we both committed to, like, we talked about it and we said, like, this is not going to change our lifestyle. And everyone's like, yeah, you say that now. Well, we had my daughter camping at 3 months. She's been out on the boat. She's been to Queensland. Yeah. Well, she's up here now, so she's done 2 road trips to Queensland, road trip to Vic. Yeah. She's 10 months old. So, like, we had her camping real early because we wanted it to just be normal for her. Yep. Like, we didn't want to wait until she was like 1 or 2 and then go, okay, now we're going to go camping. And it's like this shocking, weird thing. Yeah. It's hard. Don't get me wrong.
I know, yeah.
Like, we've had some shit nights in the tent. Yeah. Like, 37 degrees and, like, she's just cooking and screaming, and you're like, oh, I don't know if this is a good idea. But, like, it is a good idea. And I'm fully, like, encourage anyone to just get the kids and go, right? Like, I reckon it's good for them. It's character building.
Look, yeah, you know, my second, my son Blake, he's 3 years older than my daughter Miranda, so we were a lot more. It probably sounds bad, but we were like, Blake was cotton wooled, and then Miranda was like, "No, she'll be right." She was at the workshop with us in the office. God, very, very young.
That's definitely a thing because I'm the third, and I wasn't protected. I did whatever. You know, and I think as you have more kids, you just like, whatever. You become a bit more easygoing. Yeah. And I think as I said, I've only got one, but from what I've observed, it's like you realise pretty quickly that little kids are quite resilient.
Yeah, they're not as made of glass as you think they are. But it's for me in the beginning, because there was 9 years between me and my sister. So, like as a 9-year-old boy, and you got this little baby girl around, like I wasn't worried, I wasn't involved in anything. Like I got no idea. I had no idea about kids.
I still don't, mate. Like just make it up.
Yeah, Sean had kids. How much older is Caden than Blake? A couple of years. Yes, a couple of years. Yeah. So, I got a little bit of knowledge of stuff, but it was still, it's like, this new baby, and it's so that, a mistake can be like so finite. And I'm like, Miranda come along and had Blake for 3 years. Like, she'd be right.
This is easy.
Yeah. Well, we had her down there really early, and the office that I had at the old shop, we had her in that big like octagon thing that she would just
like
cruise around. Yeah. But she would cruise around and she learned how to stand up down there and all that sort of stuff. And all the boys would walk through and talk to her, and grinders in the background. She didn't care.
Yeah.
So I think you definitely released the grip a little bit more on the second one. But I was pretty tight gripped for the first bit on my first one.
That's fair enough.
So, but look, it's a lot of fun though.
Oh yeah, it's sick.
Were you there for the birth?
Yeah. A hectic experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you get like, not that I didn't have an appreciation for my wife prior to that, but like, oh my God, what those girls go through is hectic.
Yeah, I cried like a fucking schoolgirl.
Yeah, I cried too.
Yeah, I prepared myself for the second one.
Oh yeah.
But then she come out not breathing.
Yeah,
and they
hectic.
went from
start swinging them around.
We went from like a midwife to about like 6 people, whatever it was, grabbed her and took her over to a table, and they're like tapping her and whatever, and I'm sitting there like tweaking, like what the fuck's going on? And then there's this little cry comes out, and fuck, and then I wasn't prepared for that, so I cried like a schoolgirl again. So
mate,
it is what it is.
Real men cry.
Yeah, it is.
But no, it's an amazing experience, hey.
Yeah,
and I'll say, I never wanted to have kids.
Really?
But now that I've got one, I'm like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. And it changes you. Like, it fully changes your perspective on so many things for the better.
Absolutely. I think my sister's, 43, so she'd be 34. She's not, I don't think she'll have kids. She's pretty open about the fact that she's like, no, look, she's very comfortable saying, I'm too selfish. Like,
and that's fine.
I like what I do. I like my freedom. I don't want to be locked in. And, her and her partner, they love like traveling, and, I think it's not for everybody, but like when it comes along, I was 30 when we had Blake, so I can appreciate people that say like, I want to wait till I'm ready and this and that. It's like there's a party that wants to go. You're never prepared.
Yeah.
There's changes that happen that you won't see coming, but it's all totally worth it.
Yeah. I think it's good. Yeah. And with my daughter, she's just like starting to talk a bit. She's becoming like heaps more interactive, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like the first 6 months is just like, it's pretty shit. I don't care what anyone says. They're like, isn't it beautiful? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of screaming and crying, and there's like not much. You're not getting much back, but like, she's starting to develop her own like little personality, and it's so much fun, man.
I loved it. I had the best time when they were really, really young, because it was like just both of them did the same thing. Like if they wouldn't settle, they'd just be just on my chest, chest to chest, and they'd just out.
Yeah,
I loved that. That was so much fun. It was, and once they start Like the little lip starts going and they start smiling at you.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's powerful, man.
It is.
It unlocks things that you didn't know were inside you.
No, that's right. That's right. But that's cool. So as far as the GME stuff, I've got to ask you, like, several years ago, there was a big change in Hyundai, and they went from, you know, what they were to this whole new kettle of fish. And I feel like GME, something happened to GME because it was like, I was Uniden forever. And then something happened to GME, and it's like they just had this facelift overnight and came out with all this cool shit. And was that sort of planned, or was it just started rolling out and it was getting good feedback, or?
It's a combination of factors.
Okay.
The company's 65 years old.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been around a long time,
Yeah.
right? I was lucky because when I started at the business, so I actually started as the marine product manager.
Okay.
And to go back a bit, before that I worked for Sony Electronics. I was marketing video cameras
Right.
and working in product management for video camera.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like handy cams when people used to buy them.
Yeah.
And then the advent of iPhones, Canon 5D Mark IIs, shooting videos and all that, like the camcorder market for consumers just basically shrunk to nothing.
Yeah.
So I was there for 11 and a half years, and I've always been a fisho, right?
Yeah.
And then I got made redundant, and I got paid heaps of money because I've been there so long.
Yeah.
And I just turned 30.
Right.
So I went, I'm going to have the year of Tony. And I just took a year off and paid myself a full salary for the year.
Nice.
Bought my first four-wheel drive and I bought a Hobie like fishing kayak, so like a Pro Angler 14 with a live bait tank and a downrigger.
Yeah.
I would just fish Sydney Harbour like every day.
Right.
So get up early, get down there, get live bait, fish all morning,
Yeah.
go to the pub in the Arvo. Like, that was my life for a year. And it
Yeah.
was sick. And I'd worked like every day since I was 14. I was one of those kids, like as soon as I could work, I went and worked.
Yeah.
And I just, like, Sony being Japanese, they work you hard, right?
Right, okay.
Like, there's no holidays working there. So
Right.
we were doing like 9 a.m. till 11 p.m. in the office.
Wow.
Like, day in, day out. And I did it for years and I loved it.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was hard, man.
Yeah.
And so when I had the opportunity, I had this big stack of cash and like my mum's there going, buy another house, buy an investment property. I'm like,
Yeah.
how about I don't do that? And I just have a really good year of just doing whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And like I loved working in marketing. But then when that happened, I was like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
Am I over this? Do I want to do something different? I
Yeah.
looked at buying a lawn mowing business.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do something completely different. And then I went through the process of like doing the due diligence. And then I had this like epiphany going, if it rains, you can't work, dickhead.
Yep.
And it's such an obvious thing, right? But I'm like, okay, I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm at the mercy of the weather. So
Yeah.
that idea got shelved. And then I started to miss the challenge of marketing. I started to miss that, like, the intensity and, like, deadlines and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, maybe I can't just fish every day.
Yeah.
And, like, my brain was suffering. And so I started looking for a job. And GME had a marine product manager job. And I knew about GME. Like, I'd seen the products in mates' boats and in four-wheel drives and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
electronics and boats. That sounds like something I'd be interested in. So I actually took the job while I was sitting on my kayak in Sydney Harbour. Like, the recruiter called me and was like, yeah, okay, you've gone through the interview process. Do you want the job? And I was like, yeah, hopefully you can hear me, like, you know, water lapping at the side of the kayak.
Yeah.
And I told her where I was, and she's like, oh, okay, so you're pretty legit then as the marine product manager. You're literally on a boat in the harbour while you're taking this job.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. And GME was a very different company then 10 years ago to what it is now. We've had a lot of management change. We've had a lot of strategy change. People like me that have come into the business with like more large corporate experience in terms of big multinationals.
Right.
And like when you talk about Sony, there's at the time, there was 145,000 employees globally.
Right.
Big business, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to GME and there was like 150.
Right.
So it was culture shock for me and for them because I was like, well, why are you doing it that way? And they're like, oh, it's just how we do it.
Right.
Okay. And then I'm there going, how do I do this? And they're like, I'll go talk to Bob. And I'm like, what if Bob dies tomorrow? And they're like,
Yeah.
no one else knows how to do Bob's job.
Yeah.
So it was kind of that.
Yeah.
So the company's like, and it's not by accident. Like, we've got some amazing members of our board. Our owners are super supportive because it's still family owned.
Yep.
And basically it was like, all right, at the time the company had been around 50 odd, 55, 56 years.
Yeah.
They're like, how do we get the next 56? And we had to reinvent ourselves. And I was just lucky that I arrived at the right time where the business was open to changing the way they went to market.
Right.
And they had some sick product ready to release that they'd been working on for a period of time.
Okay.
So it was kind of just one of those
Perfect storm.
perfect storms.
Yeah.
The business was open to change.
Yeah.
So I was the marine product manager for a while, and then I got switched into the land category. So like the UHF CB radios,
Yeah.
4-wheel drives, all that. And like, as I said, I'd only just bought my first 4-wheel drive. So we're talking like 2015, I bought a D22 Navara.
Oh, that's one way to start.
I bought that to tow a boat. I didn't buy it to go wheeling.
Fair call.
I was always a streetcar head, right? Like
Yeah.
I had Skylines, V8 Commodores, heaps of VLs, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was into drag racing and drifting.
Yeah.
I thought 4-wheel driving was boring. I was like, why would you do that? And
Were you still of that mind? Had you been 4-wheel driving at that point?
No.
Yeah, I was. It's exactly.
So
the
I'd
same
never
as
done
me.
it right. And I was
Yeah.
like, that is dumb. Why would you want to drive slowly
Yep.
up rocks?
Yep.
Now look at me.
Yeah.
But getting that D22, I never bought the boat.
Right.
I had the kayak, I was using that, and like it was sick. I was traveling, like driving on beaches and doing some like dirt road stuff to get to fishing spots. But I wasn't like, I never thought I'd be like going wheeling.
Yeah.
And then one of my old mates who's got a real nice 60 series, he's like, oh, we're going up to Lithgow. Like, you should come up, bring the Navara. And like, that was it, man.
Yeah.
It was one day. I'll never forget that day. And that,
Yeah.
I mean, I personally hold him responsible for ruining my financial stability.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like, I was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
And then it just snowballed as it does. And then, like, find the limits of the D22, start breaking shit.
Yeah.
Not hard to do in those things.
No.
But it served a purpose, right? It was cheap. It was a good car for me to learn in.
Yeah.
And then I went, I think I need to buy something a bit more staunch. And then 80 Series Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Solid axle and yeah, like a slippery slope, my friend.
It is. Mine was exactly the same, and it was a 60 series that was responsible for it too.
Yeah.
One of my old guys that I had at the old shop, because we were still slamming them down. The last build we did was a full HSV kitted out, you know, my version of a HSV kitted out Commodore wagon. And like, you know, we deleted the headrest and like cut about 3 inches out of the backrest and had like, you know, the almost like Coulson style seats in it and just a stupid sound system and, you know, remote start and all the shit.
Oh yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
And whenever we would finish, if we were like, because I was at that time, we were kind of like, when we're done, we're done. And because we were at the coast, it was like one of my guys had a 60 series and he would always go out wheeling. And this one afternoon, I think, you know, we've tools down and, you know, I'd had a couple of beers and he's like, come for a run. I'm like, fuck, whatever. You know, just come for a run. And yeah, we went out to this little sort of patch of dirt and mud and shit. And half an hour into it, I was like, fuck, I got to get full drive. This is nuts. And I was only a passenger.
Yeah.
That was enough for me to go, I got to do one.
So yeah, it was good timing for me, I suppose. So I guess like, I was just thinking, I've never really said this in public in terms of like the progression of my career and what's happened, but I happened to find myself in this company that made really good products, sold products into the 4-wheel drive market, but had never focused on it.
They had never focused
They'd never
on it.
focused on it.
Right.
And I'd not been a 4-wheel driver.
Yeah.
So I was kind of learning about the 4-wheel drive industry, learning about like how to drive these things.
Yeah.
And then we had this really amazing product launch that was like the first of its kind, which is our XRS range of radios, which are like pretty commonly known now.
Yeah.
But we launched them and they just didn't sell.
Right.
And at the time, I was running the land category, but I wasn't running marketing.
Yeah.
And the business was having all these meetings going like, oh, what do we do?
Is that because they'd been so focused on marine, or they just weren't pushing the social side?
Agriculture, heavy vehicle,
Right.
which is still huge markets for UHF radios, right?
Yeah.
But they just hadn't really focused on 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, it was an old business. A lot of heads had been there for a long time, and we sort of just did things the way we did them.
Cogs turn slow.
Yeah. And we launched this amazing product, but then we were trying to sell it to farmers.
Yeah.
And farmers are like, no, I just want a radio that just does the basics. They don't want like, and now that's changed in the last 10 years. They're starting to understand the technology. They want some of those features. But at the time, they were kind of like, no, it's just, that thing's got Bluetooth. We don't want that. Like, we just want the ones we've been buying for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And the CEO at the time came to me and said, well, what do you want to do? I said, why don't we just focus solely on the four-wheel drive market for this particular range of product, and we'll make it cool. And I used to say all the time, like, it's really hard to make a UHF radio cool, and I like to think we've made them cool. And it's simple stuff, right? Like all we did was we embedded ourselves in that community, we spoke to that community, we understood the needs of them, and we had a product that suited them perfectly. And I guess, so I don't want to say it's all me, it's not like that at all. It was the whole business shifted and went, okay, well, yeah, we've got this amazing product, we've invested millions of dollars, we need a return in it. Let's try it, let's do something different. And so we became much more active in the four-wheel drive community to the point where we are now, where, you know, I'd like to think most people within the four-wheel drive industry and community in Australia know who GME is and they know what we do, right? But the other thing that happened at that same time was the business had not had any presence on social media.
No.
And there was fear in the business about social. Older heads didn't really understand it. They're like, oh, and I remember having a meeting in the boardroom at GME about why we should have a Facebook page. And I'm talking like 2017. So I'm not talking
super late to the party.
Right? And I remember one of the guys, and he's still there, and he's G, he's been there like 50 years, but he was like, oh, but people will complain on there. I said, yeah, great. And then we can talk to them and we can fix their problem and we can turn them from a detractor to an advocate. And they were like, it's risky. I said, just so you're aware, they're already doing this. They're already complaining when they have a problem, but they're just not doing it on a platform that we can see or engage with them. And they're like, don't know, mate, still not convinced. Sounds a bit risky. Needless to say, we started the Facebook page and then subsequently started really focusing more on YouTube and Instagram. And so it was kind of there was a lot of different parts that all came together. And, mate, I'm not an expert. I've never studied marketing. I've just made it up as I go along. So.
No, but it's funny that because I didn't realise that it was so agricultural. And it's like there was that many times, you know, that I until the last few years, like, you know, however long it's been now, but, you know, I remember sort of 2014, 15, I think it was somewhere around there where I got, because I would watch action back in the day. Action, I would watch it, but I would be watching it for Ruthie just the same as I would be watching fishing for fucking Rex Hunt. You know what I mean? Like it's the banter and the you know, I would probably watch Ruthie do just about anything because
he's personalities,
like,
right?
Yeah, you know. But I was like, yeah, that's really cool, but I'd rather go fast. You know, but obviously that changed for me. But when I started buying four-wheel drives, it was like you'd get in it, it's got a UHF, and then you'd see the photo of it, and it's like GME, and it's this old black thing. You're like, oh, God, this shit. You know, it was, and that's what really was, it would have been an agricultural sort of target of those old base ones.
And it's like, it's a utility product at the base level, right? So, like, how do you make a utility product cool? And you focus on the lifestyle, right? It's not about the radio. It's about having communication while you're doing cool shit. That's ultimately what it's about, right? So I don't think we did anything revolutionary. All we did was we just embedded ourselves in a market, and it helped that the marketing manager was frothing four-wheel drives as well. So, like, I can relate to the community because I am one of the community. And I think, you know, I say that to people all the time. Like, they go, how did you get this job? Like, I'm like, well, I kind of created it. And I couldn't go market, I don't know. I was going to say sparkling water, but I am quite enthusiastic about sparkling water, so maybe I could.
Maybe you could.
But, you know, like...
Side hustle.
Pretty saturated market, pardon the pun. I could never market a product that I'm not truly passionate about or interested in. Because, like, how do you speak to a customer if you don't care about what you're telling them?
No, and even if you've got the sort of script and dialogue and verbal gymnastics, the energy's not there.
It's the passion. Like, and I hate the word because it's pretty cliche, but authenticity is king. And especially now, like, I think for our generation and particularly younger generations, like, we're over-marketed too, right? Like,
for sure.
The world is an ad.
Yeah.
And in everything that you consume, there's, like, product placement or there's branding or whatever. And I think, especially for me as a marketer, I'm like, I like to think I'm impervious to marketing. I'm like, it won't work on me.
Yeah.
It works on me.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we're all consuming marketing every day.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, the filter now it's so strong. Like people just go nuts and ad. So to cut through that, I think you've got to understand the drivers for that particular market. And I think that's what we've managed to do with four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
And at the same time, still maintained our really strong brand with agriculture, with heavy vehicle. So there's all these other markets that the four-wheel drive community think, oh, GME is just like a four-wheel drive radio company.
Yeah.
But like we do heaps of other stuff.
Yeah.
But we've really adapted the way we speak to each of those different markets and different communities because they're different.
Yeah.
Like what a four-wheel driver finds interesting or what they're looking for in a product.
Yeah.
A guy driving a Kenworth up and down the East Coast doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe, or maybe he does. So that's really like where we've kind of been a little bit more targeted in terms of how we approach.
It's the aesthetics of it too. You know, like it's like however many years ago it was that you did that facelift to it. Yeah. You know, it's like now it's like okay, that's like it's a cool looking unit modern. Now too. Yeah, yeah,
and that's
right.
what I mean. So I definitely don't think it's all about the marketing. The marketing helps.
No,
but
for
we're
sure.
like the last step, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have a good product to take to market, well then, it's like then you're polishing turds, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah, but I think that whatever all that behind the scenes working of the deep dive into the four-wheel drive industry and the facelifts that it's had, and obviously all the features and stuff like that. But it's like I think because I was so unit in, that was it. For me to be a convert, it's like, yeah, it's done something.
I love that.
Well, look, I'm a big believer. There's certain things that I'm loyal to a fault. You know what I mean? Like there's products that like I refer to MAXTRAX a bit because like Brad and Paul were really a big part of me getting some exposure early because we did his 1943 Jeep Willys. We did a full body off on that, and we worked on the six-wheeler and all that sort of gear. And it's like even though they're now under that big umbrella with tread and everything else, it's like I won't have a set of treads on the wall because I'm MAXTRAX. That's my history with.
I'm the same.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Chris and the boys, like they had a lot of fun doing what they were doing with that brand, and even though now it's owned by the same place, I'm still like, yeah, that's almost me going. That's showing respect to somebody that's not even there anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sold the business, right?
Yeah.
But when I think MAXTRAX, I think Brad and Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know Brad personally. I do know Paul very well.
Yeah.
And like absolutely so much respect for those boys, what they created in terms of that brand. And mate, I'm the same. Like I just parked my 80 series up at the Brisbane four-wheel drive show and there's 4 MAXTRAX on the roof.
There you go.
You know, and I would never, I don't care how much money or whoever sweet talked me into trying to put a different product on there. I'm like, nah, because if you need a recovery board, you buy a MAXTRAX, right? Well, and like, I also think because they innovated and they created that market, really, they should be the ones that are the household name, and that should be the go-to, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you can buy those things at Aldi once every 6 months.
Yeah,
like,
every now and then.
MAXTRAX. You can buy the shit version.
Yeah.
Why would you? Like,
have you seen the Mark 1?
Yeah.
I didn't. I must also because I came into it a bit later. Like the Mark 2 was like I don't even have any Mark 2s floating around. These are all the extremes. I saw the Mark 1. I was up at HQ not that long ago having a chat with the boys, and there was one leaning against the wall, one of the original orange Mark 1s, and I'm like, what shitty rip-off version was that? You know? And he's like, no, that's the original.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, and I'd never seen one. So it's like, and when you think about, it's almost like that story of the guy that invented the pop-up umbrella for a fucking cocktail. It's like when you think about it, it's like it's so simple.
And the simple ideas are always the best.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think Brad's feet are ever going to hit the ground again. So he's
good on him.
He's probably pretty comfy.
Good on him.
But yeah, when you think about what the actual product is in the beginning, you're like, that makes so much fucking sense. You know what I mean? And it's like
beats like logs and whatever else you can have.
Yeah,
towels work if you're in a pinch.
Towels.
Yeah, towels.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Anything that's not going to part like sand.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got the 80 series up here now.
Yeah.
What was the single cab that you had down in Tassie?
GQ.
Yeah, the GQ. That's got Toyota written on the front, doesn't it?
Not anymore.
Yeah, I looked at that. I saw a short, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they fucking said Toyota.
So there's probably a story worth explaining there. So
Right.
obviously, first four-wheel drive was a D22.
Yeah.
And then I went to an 80 series, and I kind of built like an online persona with my tunes page, which is like, it's been my number plate. It's been on Skylines, V8 Commodores, you name it. It's just been my plate.
Yeah.
And so everyone kind of just assumed that I was like a Toyota guy.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's like the Nissan-Toyota rivalry and people base their entire personalities on a particular brand of vehicle.
Yeah.
I find that really weird, but each their own.
Yeah. As long as it's not a Triton.
So everyone kind of like was like, oh, this is a Toyota guy.
Yeah.
Man, I had, as I said, Skylines, heaps of VLs with Nissan motors in them.
Yeah.
First four-wheel drive was a Navara. And when I bought my 80, I was looking at GUs.
Okay.
So I was like, I didn't care. I just wanted a 90s. So I was looking at GQ, GU, but I wanted like a 90s solid axle, staunch four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
I didn't care what brand it was. Just so happened I found a nice 80.
Yeah.
So I took that on a couple of four-wheel drive 24/7 trips.
Yep.
And that's my personal car. I own that car.
Yep.
And it's obviously branded. We use it as a promo car, etc. But those trips are extremely hard on the vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
And what I think people don't tend to understand is like you're condensing the amount of abuse that the vehicle endures. So where someone might do like a couple of hard wheeling days a year, you're doing like 2 weeks of it straight and just belting the car.
Yeah.
And my 80's nice. I was like, I want to do this. And I'd just done like a full like new wrap, and like I'd gone to town on this thing, spent a ton of cash, and then took this like immaculate 80 with like brand new door molds, brand new indicators, brand new headlights, and all genuine Toyota stuff. So like, you know, remortgaged a house over it.
Yep.
And then spent like 2 weeks mud bogging. I was like, I don't want to do this to this car. And I was actually going to chop another 80. I was going to buy a petrol 80 and chop it into a single cab, because I went, I think single cab life is the one for me if we're going to be doing more of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of the boys at work who's a GQ fanatic and has had heaps of them.
Yeah.
I told him what I was going to do. He's like, you are an idiot.
Right.
Why would you cut a wagon in half? Just buy a GQ Ute. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, they're not the same thing.
Nope.
Because I can drive that GQ way, way harder than I could any Land Cruiser. And I stand by that. I don't care if anyone wants to cancel me for that, or the Toyota fanboys.
Right.
But you can see where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
We've got a Nissan and a Toyota in the same stable. And so I was like, we're going to have a bit of fun with this one.
Okay.
I love putting shit on 79 series cruisers.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
But the 79 enthusiasts get really passionate about that particular model of vehicle. So they're good to poke fun at. And I'm also very good mates with Cowboy Tuned, who's basically made a living out of taking the piss out of 79 owners.
Yeah.
So we buy a GQ single cab, and it was like a farm truck. Like it had some cool gear. It had like GU diffs, and it was twin locked, and you know, like it was cool.
Yeah.
But it was like a farm ute.
Yeah.
And I drove it to my barber one day to book in for a haircut, and booked in, drove it home, and then I came back later on in my missus' car,
Right.
and he's like, "Where's your cruiser?" And I'm like, "What? I've never been to this barber before. He hasn't seen my 80,
Yeah.
and it's in Sydney." And I'm like, "What? Cruiser?" And he goes, "Yeah, that car you came in this morning. Isn't that a 79? I go, "No, it's not a 79, bro."
Oh, God.
And he's like, "Oh, okay, they look kind of the same." And anyway, I repeated this story to Cowboy Tuned in the process of deleting about 30 beers in an hour at my house one afternoon.
Yeah.
And he's like, grabs his phone and goes, "Not a 79, number plates are available on the RMS. You should put them on the car." I'm like, that's genius.
Right.
So that's where it started, right? So we rebuilt this car and we launched it as not a 79. And everyone's like, "You're a dickhead, mate." You know? So we've had the car for nearly 3 years now. And last year, another mate of mine, Matt Kinsella, who runs Kinsella's Customs down in Sydney, absolute G, master fabricator.
Yeah.
I took it down there to do a mid-mount winch.
Okay.
So mount the winch under the tray, bring the bull bar right in.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the plan. And on the way out, he goes, "Oh, you should look at Lewis's GU that's here." And one of his boys has got a GU single cab. He's like, "Look at the rear end in it." And he's got double triangulated 4-link. I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty sick." And he goes, "Take it for a drive and tell me that isn't the best handling patrol you've ever driven." So, needless to say, I walked out of there having committed to doing a double triangulated 4-link in the back of the car.
Right.
And so Matty does all the work. I go to pick the car up, and it's got this friggin' huge Toyota badge on the front grille of
Yeah.
the 60 series, and he's like, you don't have to leave that on there. We just did it as a joke. And I'm like, no, it suits the whole vibe of it, right? It's not a 79. We'll leave the Toyota badge on.
Yeah.
Then I went to Tassie, destroyed the entire vehicle, and I just had, like, what you see on camera from those 2 episodes is about half of the problems that I had on that trip. Like,
Really?
It was just a nightmare. Like, shit was just going wrong, man. And the car was overheating, and, like, I punched the fan through the back of the radiator, and, like, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And at one point, all the boys had gone ahead.
Yeah.
And I was, like, limping this car, and I was, like, it was overheating, and I got out, and I was on the side of the road in Tassie with the bonnet up, trying to cool this thing down, and I looked at the Toyota badge and went, I never had a problem with this car.
Yeah, it's
Until
not,
that badge went on there.
It's not happy.
And I'm like, it's unhappy with me. So I literally got the side cutters out, cut that badge off, and threw it in the tray, and it's now on the wall in my shed, and it will never go back on the car. So long story, but mate, I tell you what, it was bad juju.
Yeah, it's probably the first one I've seen because it's like, you know, like you said, they're fucking, they'll die for their brand, you know, some of the boys, and it's like I think there will be some skin having crawled just with your barber mistaking a GQ for a 79.
Yeah. Well, they both look like a tin shed. They're both a 30-year-old design.
Yeah.
Wind-up windows.
Yeah.
You know, they're quite similar, really.
Dude, I had for those that are just listening, I'm referring to the wall of photos, but that the second row down far left, that was an old GQ that I had. We didn't chop that. We left that as a wagon. That was the little 2.8.
RD.
Dude, you couldn't kill it.
No.
That was just 2-inch suspension, 33s, an old X-Rocks bar. That was before I was doing my 79 bonnet conversion, so it had like a reverse cow Camaro scoop on it, and you know, whatever, just to break up that shape at the front a little bit. I love that truck.
Man,
that was so much fun.
And this is what I mean. Like, everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people, like, pin their personality to a particular brand or model of vehicle.
Yeah.
I just like cool cars.
Yeah.
I don't care. And, like, the Ford Holden thing, I always had VLs. But I'd love, like, an XC coupe.
Yeah.
I just don't care. Unless I owned the car brand, then I'd probably care.
Yeah.
But if I don't have a direct financial, you know, benefit from it, I don't care less, man.
Look, I come up with VLs, VKs, VH wagon, but you know, the first one I put a real chunk of money into was an old ED.
Oh, yeah.
XR8.
Yeah, sick.
Factory manual, and we did a full black. It was black on black on black. We did a full respray, molded one of the XR8 humps to the bonnet, like lowered it, you know, set of the Cobra replica wheels, and just that. I'm the same. Like my drama's always like, I'll look at something, but I'll know what I want to do to it, and sometimes, you know. The comment when I first got it from a couple of people was like, because it was stock and it was, you know, not in perfect nick, but it was like, geez, you look like someone, like when you pull up in that, it looks like there's a bunch of bloody criminals going to jump out and stab you or rob you or something. I'm like, yeah, just wait. Like, won't.
I've got a plan.
I've got a plan. But I love that thing. And it was, you know, with the VLs and the VKs and, yeah, I think I've never really kind of articulated it, but it is. Yeah, I'm a fan of whatever I've got.
Yeah.
Really. Because there's lots of stuff.
I'm just a fan of cool cars.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a shit what the brand is.
The only thing I haven't had that I would really love, which I missed out on the Rush before they went up, was the Supra.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
they're
would.
dumb money now.
Yeah.
I looked at them maybe a year ago. I was like, oh yeah, same thing. I was like, I've never owned one of them. Maybe I should buy one. I was like, oh, they're $60,000 now. No, I'll never own one of them.
No, when we were up the coast in about 2007-ish, there was a guy down near Kawana Waters who used to import all the Japanese, all the JDM stuff.
Yeah.
And you could buy a Aero Top Auto from him for about 18 grand. And for about another 5 or 6 grand, I can't remember the exact figures, but you could order a front cut 2J manual, and they would do the conversion for you there and then. So you would leave with a Aerotop manual 2J for less than 30 grand. And it's like rocking horse shit now. That would be, I don't even know what that would be now.
Yeah,
like
north of 60.
I think you'd be north of 100 for a 2J
probably.
manual Aerotop.
I haven't even looked, but it's the same with the Skylines, man. Like,
Yeah.
I remember mates buying 32 GTRs for 20 grand, landed and complied.
Yeah.
Now they're like 100 for one that's a death trap and is probably rebirthed. Like, do you know what I mean?
And that's if it was even
stupid.
Yeah, if it's even like a proper GTR too.
Yeah.
Because I know I was just watching something. Mark Scaife was doing one with the old Bathurst one that there's a bunch of guys
The Winfield
rebuilding.
one.
Yeah, rebuilding
sick.
that. And I think they've got, because I think their original car was like a 0001 VIN or something like that. Whatever it was like super low. So, and they're building it back to spec, but apparently like they were having dramas getting them to sign off on the roll cage they put in, because they were like, we don't want the modern roll cage. We want the cage that was in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and Scavey's sitting there talking about, like, you know, it's when you sit back now after all these years of the modern cages and you sit back in that and look at what they had, he's like, you know, we're pretty lucky.
Back in the good old days when Durry companies could be a major sponsor of a race car, and roll cages were not what they are today.
No. Well, my old man, he come up. He was racing old Billettes and E.H. Holdens and stuff. He's same sort of age as Dickie Johnson, and them came up with them out of Lismore, and they didn't have cages and shit. They would, you know, Dad would work on it at home on the farm on the weekend and go out and race it on the weekend.
Yeah, and unfortunately they would die like real men too back in the day. It was pretty nasty.
Yeah,
you see some of the stacks that happen in like supercars now, and you're like, surely you would have to get hurt in that, and they just go. Walk away from it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think the biggest freak out in modern racing would still just be fire.
Oh yeah,
you know, the
trapped and the thing's on fire.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, that's actually, I think it was that episode that you did where Shauno come through, and he was going through a bog hole, but I think he had the driver's side up and his
when
left
it caught
side.
on fire. Was it that one?
No, I don't think it. No, it was this Tassie one.
Oh, recent one, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, everybody went straight through it.
Oh yeah,
but
he tried
went
to straddle
up.
it.
That I've had that fear of that type of scenario and tipping on the lid in a bog hole where you're inside the channel, you can't open doors and you're upside down. And when he did that, I fucking nearly fell off the chair.
Yeah, standing next to it, I thought he was gone then. I thought he was going to flip the car. Like, it looked like it was going to go.
Yeah, he's come into that full noise. It looked like full noise.
Yeah, he was upper.
Yeah.
But, same. Like, the whole straddling bog holes, I'm like, I'd rather just drive into it and winch out of it.
Yeah.
But, you know, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, well.
It was pretty spectacular anyway. Got a good angle on it.
He definitely did. What's... back to your show. So you've got, I mean, obviously through GME and everything else that you guys do, you've got, as you said, like a lot of good contacts and a lot of, what was when you decided to actually go, all right, let's just do this? Because I know for me, when I started this, I was very like, the workshop is funding it. The workshop's paying for it. It's like, you know, we've got this room built, that sort of stuff. We're smack bang in the middle of my workshop.
Yep.
I was like, look, if nothing comes of it, nothing comes of it. I'll end up with some cool stories, and we'll have shared beers with people that, you know, I otherwise really probably wouldn't have met.
Yep.
Because I'm a little bit under a rock here, whereas you're kind of like, you're already out there talking to people a lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, I was like, you know, if I can get this to a point where I can sit down across the table from Ruthie, especially now that he doesn't do anything or doesn't do a lot anymore, I was like, that's my bucket list. If I get there, we're sweet. And I think we had him down on episode 13, and I was even sitting here while we were filming. I'm like, it's fucking Ruthie, you know. Like for me, that was like
mad. Up
there. Have you got a sort of bucket list person that you'd like to put out to the universe? You'd be like, this would be cool for me.
Yeah, it's Luke from the Outdoor Boys. So the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He's in Alaska, so like, look, it might happen.
Look, they travel, don't they? They do touring.
They do. But yeah, he's the sort of dude, like, I don't know if you know his story, but he's like...
Not the backstory.
Fascinating dude.
Right.
He was like a motor vehicle compensation lawyer. Like, very specific. Okay. He was like a full solicitor and owned his own law firm, and then was like, nah, I want to go camping with my kids. And so
Right.
started filming it, and then it blew up, and now that's his gig. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a sick story.
When did he launch his show?
Oh, it's been a while now. It's been a few years.
Okay.
But then now what's cool is his son's doing the same thing. So like
Yeah.
he had outdoor, I saw this video the other day and it was like Outdoor Tom. I'm like, oh, that's his kid. It was like 5 million views in a week. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he's got a good launch pad. But
Yeah, well, yeah.
But that dude, he's the guy I want to talk to.
Yeah, okay.
Just because he does loose stuff, like, and
Yeah.
you know, he went and like was a missionary in Japan, and like because he's a super religious dude. I mean, I'm not, but I still think it's cool that he went to Japan as like this young American and just went over there and was a missionary.
Yeah,
and
right.
like speaks fluent Japanese, and like he's just an enigma. So
Yeah.
that's the sort of dude that I want to talk to. And I guess that's been one of the hardest things for me with my show is that I went into it going, I don't want this to be a 4-wheel drive show.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he's just a G.
14 million subscribers.
Yeah,
Holy
he does.
shit.
He does all right. He does all right.
Yeah, I don't. Look, 3,942,409 views.
Yeah, he's just and he just does cool stuff. He's like, oh, we're gonna go camp in a tent in the Arctic Circle, and it's like, and he says, oh, it's minus whatever, and it's Fahrenheit, and then you do the calculation, you're like, oh, it's like minus 60 degrees, and he's in a tent.
Yeah, right.
He's a pretty loose human. And yeah, now his son's got 16 videos and 643 subs, so he's doing right as well.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's the thing, though. I think when you leverage what you can.
Of course.
You know, I was actually having this conversation with Little Mick. He does like tattoo work and airbrush work
sick.
and sheet metal. He's actually like not far from here. And he's like I haven't spent much time worrying about socials because 90% of the last 7 or 8 years doing this is repeat and referral. So I haven't really worried too much about it. So for me, I'm definitely a slow start.
Yeah.
As far as putting content out and stuff like that. But and I said this to Mick because he's that started his channel based on. I mean, a bit of airbrushing, a bit of everything, a bit of sheet metal fab, a bit of motorcycle stuff, and he's getting a lot of good growth, a lot of good feedback, and all that thing. And I think the social media has changed so much. Where we were talking about what got me interested years ago was stuff like American Chopper, American Hot Rod. A little bit later the Fast and Loud with Gas Monkey, and that's my kind of thing. I want to go and do a trip around the States and see all those shops.
Yeah.
But it's like back in the day, like places, companies like Discovery were filming, we're getting feedback from different shows and filming stuff to suit that audience and across multiple different audiences and concepts. But now it's really about, it seems to be, and that's what I tried to do here is just go, I'm just going to film what I enjoy and the audience will find it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I've got the same mentality, right? So I'm obviously like, as I said, we've built a community around GME in the 4-wheel drive industry.
Yeah.
And so that Toon's personality, I suppose, everyone's like, oh, he's a 4-wheel drive guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I am. But like I said, I was a fisher way before I was a 4-wheel driver.
Don't want to be pigeonholed to it.
Well, it's not all I'm interested in. And so when I started the show, I was like, well, what would be easy in terms of accelerated growth of the channel would be to just do a 4-wheel drive podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I like fishing. I like hunting. I love camping. And really, like, what the whole premise of the Outer Side is about is it's adventure, right? It's outdoor adventure.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're on a mountain bike, if you're on a 2-stroke dirt bike, whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that I'm not a participant in that.
Yeah.
So, like, some of my favourite episodes are with, like, dudes who raced motos for a living. And I'm like, man, I stay away from motorbikes because I'm clumsy.
Yeah.
I think it's sick, but like I'm not a dirt bike rider.
Yeah.
And it was hard when I started the channel, and that was with Josh Green, that particular episode. And it was like, I think it was like episode 3 or something.
Yeah.
And I had feedback from people going like, oh, I don't care about dirt bikes. I'm like, well, don't
fucking
watch
watch
it,
it.
champion.
Yeah.
Like, and it was that kind of mentality that I guess has been a bit of a challenge for me as a marketer, where in marketing you're always looking for like validation of the idea.
Yeah.
Because marketing is experimental. I don't care what anyone says.
For
You're
sure.
like, there's a bit of suck it and see. Maybe they'll like this. Oh, no, they don't. Pivot slightly, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or have an idea, and then it just blows up, and you go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I need to continually remind myself that it's like if I put an episode out and 500 people watch it, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you get a bit like blasé with the numbers. You're like, oh, only 1,000 people watch that. And you're like, think about 1,000 people standing in your front yard, like, or in your street. Like, it's a lot of friggin' people.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it was like, well, if the four-wheel drive industry is coming here purely to see four-wheel drive content, they're going to be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I want to do more than that. And I want it to be super broad.
Yeah.
Because selfishly, I want to have cool conversations with people that do different stuff.
Yeah.
And if I'm just talking to like GQ patrol enthusiasts every week, I'm going to get bored real quick.
Yes. Yes.
I want to talk about different stuff. And like the beauty of the format is don't watch it if you don't like it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
do you read the comments? Are you able to? Yeah. I read them. My whole thing was basically the same. So when I started like Wildside Garage, all I started with, I just went and got a bit of window tint and like I sold an old couple of $1,000 buddy Subaru that I had and gave a mate some coin and was like, look, I'll rent a space off you for a bit, and I just got window tint, paint, fab, leather, vinyl protection, new car stuff. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't want to be like, you know, Moddy's tint shop or something. It's like too small.
Yeah.
And just sitting out the back at the time, still smoking. Just was, I don't know, beer after beer, smoke after smoke, and just created a list of kind of name concepts. And I come up with Wildside Garage, and I was like, that could be anything. I could, because I love building bikes, like motorcycle tanks. I love all sorts of different shit.
Yeah.
And like that doesn't pigeonhole me to anything. It's a garage, so it kind of gives a bit of it away, but it's not, you know.
But you can do whatever you want.
The four-wheel drive garage or whatever. Yeah. And the same thing with the show was like I wanted it to have a throwback to the shop, but because originally we were going to call it the Garage Cast, but then I was like, that does limit me. So I thought we'll do the Wildcast because then it's like it stands on its own as a name, but it's a throwback to the shop.
Yeah.
And I think it was Brendan from New Wave Care. We brought him in to do an episode because we were doing some work on his 80 series, but he does like disability, like NDIS work, and takes people out like with a disability, takes them out fishing and touring and all that stuff. And that opened a door to a lot of mental health chats. And the feedback we got from that was like, it was really good, you know, hearing blokes talk about mental health like blokes. Yeah. Not all cotton wooled and, you know, it's not weak to speak and, you know, all that bullshit.
Just talk about it in a real manner.
Yeah, like how we would have a conversation. And I was like, all right, well, that was cool. So then we sort of looked outside that immediate thing of automotive. And we had Stephen and Hattie down from Young Minds, and that was just, I don't know that we spoke about four-wheel drives at all.
Yeah.
That was total mental health. Then the boys from Fox Finance come down and talk about, you know, consolidation loans and dealing with interest rates and all that.
Wild.
Yeah, and it's like, and then Pauline Hanson, which I still don't know how the fuck I pulled that off, but it's like whether or not you agree with some of the stuff that she says, I was like, how many people outside of her group get to sit down in a one-on-one without phones, without interruptions for 2 or 3 hours with someone like that?
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't not do it.
Yeah,
like I was surprised they said yes, but I was like, I can't not do it. And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But the fucking comments.
Oh, really?
I think one of her shorts, I think it was on Insta, which for us, because we've got like 1,800 followers, one of her shorts had 160,000 views in like a matter of a week or something.
Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
And the variety of personalities in that comment section, I don't filter any of it. Because I'm kind of like, if you're going to put something out there, like it's not me going, oh, I had this person on and they're a shithead. You've said whatever you've said about this person. And there's people in there that called, you know, like, oh, look at these two racists and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fuck off, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that shit doesn't faze me. Water off a duck's back. It's like, if I don't know you and I know you enough to not respect you, then I don't care. If I know you and respect you, then I'll listen to you.
I read something the other day, and it's been bouncing around in my head ever since, and I'm like probably going to tattoo it on my body.
Yeah.
Never take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
I like that. That's
and I
good.
went,
Yeah.
yeah.
G'day legends. To help support the brands and support us, get onto our website and check out who we've chosen to partner with. For everything custom 4x4 and accessories, visit wildsidegarage.com. While you're there, don't forget to check the links for the discount section, where you can get 10% off brands like Carbon Off-Road, MAXTRAX, and in-house fabrication. Remember to like and subscribe to help us grow the channel and bring you even more from Wildside.
And that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Like, the people that are writing negative comments on YouTube videos,
Yeah.
like, good on you, champion. I couldn't care less. Like,
Yeah.
I very rarely comment on anyone's YouTube videos. I watch heaps of YouTube content. It's pretty much all I consume.
Yeah.
I watch it on my TV, so like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not going to
yeah.
write a comment on there anyway.
No.
But like, the people that bother to sit there and write these like really negative, really like critical, nasty things, and it's not just to me, but it's like about my guests, and I'm like, who are you to say that, man? Like, good on you, whatever. And I don't delete stuff unless it's like unhinged shit.
Yeah.
But I reckon I've deleted like 2 comments off my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Out of thousands, right?
Yeah.
But I just read it and go, whatever, man. Like,
Yeah.
but I've got to keep myself in check, because like if they get me in a bad mood, I'm like ready to spray them, and I'm like, there's no point, right? Like just leave it.
Yeah.
But an interesting one recently, I've got an active petition going to New South Wales Parliament at the moment, and it's around national parks management.
Yep, okay.
It's got like 24,000 signatures on it, right?
Wow.
And it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I made this video like to get people to sign it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm standing in front of a locked gate in a national park and saying like, are you sick of seeing this? Because I am.
Yeah.
Go sign the petition. We want national parks to be accountable.
Yeah.
That video's had 1.5 million views across Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Wow.
Oh my God. The Greens, when you get under their skin, that shit's nasty, dude. Like,
Really?
So 1.5 million people, round numbers, have watched that video. We got 24,000 signatures. I'm like, come on. Surely there should be more signatures on this.
Yeah.
Like, even if half of the people that watch it hate me and think I'm a dickhead and disagree, like, that's still like 750,000 people.
Yeah.
You'll see it there. It's one on the right there. So that's had 354 on TikTok. I think it's over 1 million on Instagram now.
Wow.
Maybe 200 on Facebook. I can't really remember.
Yeah.
But like, it was interesting because when I launched that video, what I say in the video is designed to be triggering.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted people to listen. I wanted people to go and read the petition.
Yeah.
The details of what's written in the petition is very clear. I'm not saying like unlock all the gates, make it a free for all or anything like that. I'm just saying like, hey, can we talk about why tracks and areas are getting closed?
Yeah.
That's really what it's about. And I think National Parks is a government organisation. It's taxpayer funded, and they're employed to manage public land. So as a taxpayer, why should I not be allowed to question it?
Yes.
And I'm doing it through the official channels and like going through Parliament, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
And at the start, everyone was really supportive because it was my community, right?
Yeah.
And then that thing went viral on Instagram, and now it's over 1 million views. And
Yeah.
oh my God, there was like a moment in time where I looked at my wife and I said, I'm pretty sure this just got shared on like some militant greenie website or Facebook group or something.
Yeah.
Because it was just like comment after comment after comment,
Yeah.
calling me a redneck, calling me a bogan, like
Yeah.
calling me racist, calling me just every name under the sun. I had a direct message from someone telling me to kill myself. And I was
Wow.
like, yeah, without getting like too, emotional about it, I'm like, I've had mates that have killed themselves. So that's like a really nasty thing to say to a stranger.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know where someone's at. I'm cool. I'm
Yeah.
quite comfortable. I'm not going to do anything like that. But
Yeah.
for someone to write that because I made a video saying, hey, I think this government department should be held accountable.
Yeah.
And man, I was replying to these people and like, not getting involved in like arguments, but I was like, okay, cool. So like, four-wheel drivers trash everything. Cool. Have you got like data to support anything of what you're saying, or like, the damage you do to tracks? Have you ever been to like a fire trail after a significant rain event and seen the erosion that occurs, that sort of stuff?
Yep.
And then whenever it was someone real nasty, I'd just thank them.
Yeah.
And I just say, oh, thank you for your intelligent contribution to the conversation.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can say to that.
No.
It's like,
No.
thank you. You just thank them.
Yeah. I think I've only had one direct message from any of it, and it was just something like, uneducated, this, that, and just putting out stupid content and whatever. And I went, mate, I do what I do because I enjoy doing it. If you don't like it, go and there's a plethora of other shit out there to watch.
That's what I mean.
Good luck, buddy. And he replied to it with like, you've got a responsibility to do this. I have a responsibility to fucking anything.
No,
I don't sit here pretending to be a...
You don't have a responsibility because you're not an employee.
Well, that's right. But,
so, for me, I've got to balance that, right?
Yeah, but see, that's one of the reasons I don't comment on a lot of shit, because when I comment, it comes up Wildside.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't come up Ben. So I'm like...
Yeah, and I'll be absolutely clear. Like, that video is an out-of-side video.
Yeah.
I'm wearing an out-of-side shirt.
Yeah.
GME's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But when I'm putting that kind of content out in the public domain, I'm conscious of where I work.
Yeah.
And I'm respectful of the boundaries that I need to work within, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there. I mean, I'm not going to go and do anything stupid anyway because it's my personal brand that'll be affected. But
Yes.
I've got to be conscious of the company that I represent, right? And when I'm driving around in a car that's like a rolling GME billboard, they're like, oh, that's the GME guy.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a balancing act.
Look, there was a bird over in America recently. I can't remember the airline that she was working for, but it was all over the news feed. She was celebrating her 6-month. I think she was a flight attendant, and she was celebrating her 6-month. She'd just gotten off probation, and she was doing some that twerk and dance.
And they fired her.
In the uniform in the plane, and I'm like. She's like, I was celebrating. You're in their plane, in their uniform, you dickhead.
You are representing that brand.
Yes, when you put that shirt on, or skirt, or whatever the fuck they're wearing, when you put that brand on, and you're no longer representing you, you're representing them. And it's like right. I feel a little, sorry for her in the regard of like you've lost your job, and for anybody to lose their job, like okay, it sucks, but. You know what? I understand why they did it. Like,
also,
to sit there and bitch about it is like...
Easily avoidable.
Yeah, like, do your dance at home and say,
Or groundbreaking, don't post it on the internet.
Well, there's that. I mean, it's not like, fuck, it's not that hard.
And look, I've got the benefit now, I suppose, of, like, being a bit older, and I'd like to think marginally more mature than I used to be. And I've said it to my mates so many times, like, I'm glad that we didn't have smartphones with video cameras on them back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I was 17, 18 in the streetcar scene, like, I would have probably got locked up for some of the shit that went on back then. But you know what? There's no evidence of it.
No, that's right.
Just memories.
Just memories. And talking shit. We were like Pink and Bar out near the airport, drag racing and carrying on and shit like that. But it was like, there's no proof.
Nah, street runs and industrial area burnouts and all that good stuff.
Like,
it was good times. No one got hurt. Well, and mostly no one got hurt.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to be on the internet. And this is what I keep saying on my show. Like, you can just go, and especially with the camping and four-wheel drive scene, I feel like, there's so much focus on, like, getting content. And you've got to, like, film everything.
And it's
everything's
more
like a
extreme.
shoot, and it's like,
you
can just go and do stuff and not film it and have a mad time.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for the young guys, I'm, like, constantly saying, like, hey, don't just go do something to make a TikTok video. Go do it because it's actually cool.
Yeah.
Like, do it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing something dumb, do it on private property and don't film it.
Yeah.
Because it's context, right? Anyone can watch a video on the internet and go, oh, they're destroying a national park. It, like, could be a paddock on someone's private property, but the people that are going to get triggered by it, they don't care. They just assume that it's the bush, right?
Yeah. There's a bloke, I think it's TikTok videos that I see of him every now and then, or it might be Instagram, but I'm 90% sure he's in Australia. And he does some fucked up stuff to these old like VR, VS Commodores and whatnot else, and like just I think he had a air blower for your yard hooked up to the intake of one of the things. He's doing all sorts of weird backyard shit, and he always says, all right, we're gonna go and test this thing, and he'll say, and then it's like snap. and they're on a road somewhere. There's never any signage. You don't know where he is. And he goes, right, so we've taken this thing. It's been a bit of a delay. We've taken this thing over to wherever he says, Sweden or whatever, where they don't have the same rules here, and we're going to test this thing out. So he sets it up like, it's probably around the corner.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like, I like the creativity behind it, is a lot of fun. But I think, there's been people in our industry that have copped a lot of shit for some of the stuff that they've filmed and put out there, and it's like, I mean, it's not really that hard to just take a minute and go, like, how's this going to be received?
Yeah.
But if you're after, it's that whole squeaky wheel thing. If you're after just the views and just the whatever. But the problem is that, like that bird twerking, it's like there's people that are involved in whether it's partnerships or sponsorships or whatever that are potentially and have done go, we don't want to be a part of this anymore. Yeah. And then that's a whole nother can of worms.
And I think there's two sides to that, right? Like, absolutely, if you're trying to make an income off it, doing stuff that's illegal is dumb. Yeah. Because brands will, like, GME will dissociate from anyone who's going to bring our brand into disrepute.
Yes.
Because then the general consumer goes, GME is endorsing that behaviour.
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. But even if you don't care and you're not making any money off it, the impact that has on the rest of the community is the problem. Mm-hmm. Because then when I put up a petition saying we should have more access to national parks, the response is, oh, you four-wheel drivers are just dickheads. You're always out there doing, like, burnouts. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Yeah.
But then you go on TikTok and it's like...
Yeah, they're not making it easy for us, some of them.
Nah. It's like, have a bit of fun. I don't care if you spin the wheels on a sand dune. You're not going to do any damage to it.
Yeah.
But don't film it and don't put it on TikTok.
Yeah, and I think the culture around bigger and better, it's like the what do you call them, like disruptors that will go out and do stuff. It's like, I mean, even Action, well, now 24/7, you go back 10 years and watch some of those episodes, they're still having a shit ton of fun, but it's a lot harder wheeling now than it was, because it's like, I mean, in all fairness, like, how many times can you do Glasshouse? So it's...
And look, that is the case. And Sean will say that himself, right? Yeah. He's like, the shit that we drive now is just next level. But it's entertainment. That's what it's there for, right? And even as it is, man, like, I don't read all the comments on 24/7 videos because that's like the Wild West, bro. Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's hectic. And there's so many comments, like, just hate. And I'm like, why are you here? But also,
that's weird.
You're still watching it every week, boys. Like,
yeah.
So you outwardly say that you hate it, but you're still watching it. But they get so much, like, negativity around, like, oh, you just drive the same 5 tracks.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they don't.
No.
They just went to America and shot like 8 episodes in America. Like, what more do you want? Like, this stuff costs money, and in Australia, we're limited in terms of what's available to us.
And getting more so.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that I think probably the general public don't understand is that they've got to get permits to film this stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty much cancels national parks. Like,
yeah.
And, we go to Tassie, and the boys can't film with a drone because they can't get a permit. Things like that. And, like, the audience going, oh, why don't you go do something different? It's like, man, this is not you and your mates filming some TikToks on your phone. This is a big production.
Yeah.
And you're right, though. Like, the tracks are getting harder.
Yeah.
The cars are becoming, and I think across the industry, the cars are getting bigger and gnarlier and more capable. Yeah. I just shot an episode recently with Dave Swarbrick, who owns Blue Flame Automotive down in Sydney. He's got a couple of shops down there. Yeah. And he was saying, like, for him, even in the last, like, 5 or 6 years, he reckons the level of modification, or the commonness of, like, how common things like reduction gears, 37s, he's like, yeah, they existed 10, 15 years ago, but it wasn't as common as it is now. Like, as a result, the cars get bigger, more capable, people push them harder, the tracks get more difficult, and it's like, it's a snowball, right?
Yeah. Look, we had one of the shorts from when we did our Builds, Beers and Bullshit. We had Clayton from Method, Barney, and Jamie Hazelden down here. And one of the shorts was something like, we were talking about the how the tracks are being treated and stuff like that, and versus back in the day when it was you had a, I don't know, like a leaf sprung Hilux, and you were really, you had to rely on the skill set more than buttons and self adjusting things, and it was around that sort of stuff anyway. And one of the comments that was there, because I don't reply to a heap, but every now and then I'll see something and go, no, I just want to address that. If someone's been just a cockhead, then I just bypass it. But if it's a comment that I just go, no, I want to address that. Like the guy had said something like, my old man was doing this, 20, 30 years ago, and we had V8s back then, and this isn't a new concept, blah blah blah. And I was like, no, you're right. We have had V8s. This V8s aren't a new concept, and big mud tires aren't a new concept. But it was a little bit of a niche thing back then, and it's not that any one of those weekends is going to destroy a track with one guy with his mates. It's just so much more common now, and so much more, so many more people involved and so many more people doing it. That's what we were sort of talking about, was the use that the tracks are getting now is a lot heavier, not because of any one person, because of the sheer amount of people as well.
And it depends on the kind of track, right? Like, I mean, I made the comment before about erosion and rainfall doing more damage.
Siltation,
so
I get it all.
If you're talking like ruts, sandstony sort of rocks and those sorts of hill climbs, rain will do way more damage.
For sure.
But like you talk about like bog holes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like vehicles. And in Tassie, you notice it, right? Because like all the boys down there, as a general rule, like 37s.
Yeah.
That's just it. I go down there in a twin lock GQ on 35s, and I'm like diffing out in every rut. And I'm like, okay, so the boys down here run bigger tyres. So like that stuff has an effect. But you're absolutely right. There's the number of four-wheel drivers, and I don't know about up here, but in New South Wales, I know why. It's people like me that used to be in the streetcar scene, and the streetcar scene got destroyed by New South Wales Highway Patrol. It's that simple. I sold my last Skyline because I just got defected every time I drove the car. And I just got the shits with it. I was like, I can't do this. We used to do, like, when I was younger, like, we'd go cruising in the city and drive down George Street, which you can't even do anymore now. It's a light rail, like, track. But we used to cruise down to Bondi, down the main street of the Sydney CBD in, like, ludicrous cars. Ludicrous. Like 9-second VL turbos and like, you know, external gates and just like dudes doing burnouts through the city, and like it was loose. Okay, that's probably a bit too much, but like, you'd get defected occasionally, but it wasn't that bad. The streetcar scene, whilst it still exists in Sydney, is nothing like what it used to be. And I feel like streetcars became too hard. And a lot of that crew who would have bought a clapped out commie and like done burnouts in an industrial area have now bought a clapped out four-wheel drive, and they're doing dumb shit in the bush and putting it on TikTok. So I feel like there's that element has kind of shifted from street cars a little bit.
I would definitely say that's one part of it. Probably a big part of it is the transition of the general, what would you call it? Enthusiasm, time passing kind of recreational thing. But it's also the social media side.
100%.
Because, to sit there, like we were the same, I mean, what are we, when I was 18, so 25-ish years ago, we were doing all that. We were doing hot laps in the city, and I mean, none of our crew really ever had like big dollars for motors and stuff like that. And I was, I've told the story a few times, but, my old man was not sponsored when he used to race. And he was like,
full privateer,
Well, he's like, if I can't win, I'm going to look good coming second. So that was always me. So I went down the show and shine versus big power, because I'm like, some of these guys and some of the money they put under these bonnets, I'm never going to compete with. So I'm just going to sit here and look good, whatever. But again, if there was cameras around on social media back then, this would have happened 20 years earlier.
100%. Like I just described, all those, like, they used to do street runs in the rocks in Sydney. So, like, basically under the harbour bridge.
Right.
On a Saturday night, there'd be street runs.
Yeah, right.
And, like, you couldn't do that. Now, that particular strip is, like, covered in CCTV now. So not even anyone filming on a phone. Like, the whole world has changed in terms of, like, visibility of stuff.
Yeah.
And I sound like an old bloke reminiscing, and I kind of am. It was like, they were fun times. Like, we had mad fun in street cars. And, like, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw someone street racing, which, you know, there's a time and a place for it. But, like, and I know that there's still a street racing scene in Sydney.
Yeah.
Like, there absolutely still is, but it's tiny compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, look, I think there was, you know, Fast and Furious when that came out ramped all that up a lot more here. Because Harry's Diner was out. Have you ever been to Harry's Diner? Yeah. Okay, so when we first started going there, I don't even know that I was driving. I think I was passenger in a mate's car. I don't even think I had my license. But it was front to back, side to side, full, and it was hot rods and muscle cars.
Yeah.
And we would be standing out the front on the driveway, watching these cars come and go, and, you know, they'd be giving it a squirt as they, you know, took off up the hill and whatnot else. And just a bit of fun, you know. And you'd pay out whoever came in Mum's Camry, and, you know, it was just talking shit and having fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that when Fast and Furious came out, that group changed a lot. And then it was... I don't know. See, I never went down the path of the JDM stuff. I think I transitioned more so into the side toy of, like, bikes.
Yeah, okay.
Because I love cruisers. Like, I won't ride a crotch rocket like the Ninjas and stuff like that. I find them uncomfortable. But, you know, like a Harley, Honda, like anything that's a cruiser. That's me. And I have that as my. I've never had a bike that was. Mode of transport. The bike was.
So it's been like a toy.
Yeah, I went for a ride for the ride, you know, which still scares the shit out of my missus because she's, you know, like, you got no protection around you, and, you know, you can't stop idiots. But I think the scene it's all socials. It's the quality of the cameras and the social media. The element. I mean, young male idiots have been around since the dawn of time. It's just never been proof, you know.
And not just young either. Like,
well, yeah.
But, I mean, you know, you get, like, the random reels or whatever that show up on your Facebook, and obviously the little bots are working away furiously to make sure they serve you things you're going to watch.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, mine are like VL Turbo's doing burnouts on public roads at weddings in Sydney, which is, like, the thing that happens.
Okay.
And you watch these videos, they got the plates on the car.
Yeah.
And there's, like, 20 dudes filming it.
Yeah.
All with their phones out. And
Yeah.
like, that car's going to get impounded, boys. Like, someone's going to get done for this.
Yeah.
Do a skid. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't be able to watch a skid at your wedding on a public road.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem.
Yeah. But there's that element in everything, you know, like you got 90% of guys in, you know, four drive clubs. I mean, I'm just picking bullshit percentages, but you've got a massive percentage of people in four drive clubs that don't go out and trash shit and don't leave rubbish behind. You've probably got a massive amount of people in you know, hot rods and street machine type groups
smart,
that are smart and respectful.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like for every one person that does some dumb shit these days, the effect is just so much more widespread.
Yeah, man. It's killer. And when you're, like, trying to effect change. So I had a meeting with the Four-Wheel Drive Association in New South Wales, and they're like, about this national park stuff. And they're like, we go there to the meetings and we try and tell them that we're responsible and that the community, blah, 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 blah. And they'll just pull out their phone and just show a video of a four-wheel drive, like, driving over, like, some protected shrub or something.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yep.
Like, we're providing the ammunition that is then used against us. That's what's frustrating for me.
Do you think there's any ability to, because we were talking about this with, I think Melinda or Pauline, about like the government and rules and stuff like that, like that when something's going to be sold or changed or whatever, it should go out to a public vote, like when you vote for, you know, whoever's whatever.
Like a referendum or something.
Yeah, put it out there and get some feedback. But the stuff like what you're talking about, would there be any room for them to go, okay, well, we're closing it to the generic public. and I don't know if that's a train that's going to get stopped anytime soon, but go, okay, close it to the generic public, but allow access to people that are willing to, like, you know, camping on the beach. You've got to buy a year permit. So your details are on file. They know who's been there. They, you know, all they've got to do is have something, you know, like a CCTV thing at a gate with your sticker, because the computers, the cameras these days are good enough. They can pick up your license at a bloody shopping centre. They know who's there.
Yeah.
You don't get let in if that registration isn't on their system.
I'm in two minds about that stuff. I've talked about it a lot on my show about, like, all right, put a gate on it, but then have a lock and key system, and you apply for it and you give them your details and whatever. And, like, it kind of takes a bit of the fun out of it, like the exploration, the just like spontaneity of jumping in your full drive and going exploring and driving down a dirt road and all that sort of stuff, right? Which is, I think, really important. Yeah. And it's a big part of the fun. And I get a lot of people going, I don't want to pay for another permit. I think I've got enough rules and restrictions. I agree.
Yeah, there's that.
However, your other option is you just can't go there.
Yeah, that's it.
So if I can go there and it's a bit more annoying in terms of some restrictions and I've got to jump through a few more hoops, if the alternative is never going there again, I'll take the first one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only solution. They do it really well in the US in terms of they've got a thing called BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, and they've got they've got national parks, which are very similar to our national parks in like super restricted, can't do anything, etc.
Right.
But then they've got this like BLM land, and it's set aside as recreation land.
Okay.
So like you can just go drive buggies around, or shoot, or drive four-wheel drives, or ride motos, or just do fun stuff out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of those areas, the onus of responsibility is on the user group. So they're like, if you trash it, you're going to lose access to it. Yeah. And so they keep it clean. Yeah. And I don't think we have an equivalent in Australia. Like, we've got state forests, but unfortunately a lot of state forests get absolutely trashed because people go there and do the wrong thing. Yeah. So I think if there's going to be space for outdoor recreation in Australia and when I say outdoor recreation, I'm not talking about hiking, I'm talking about things with motors or triggers. Yeah. The stuff that I like to do. Yeah, yeah. There needs to be some other alternative, right? Like, I'm not saying that, just go shoot national parks. You can do whatever you want there. That's never going to happen, right? No. But, like, what is the future? Because it's proven that stuff's good for your mental health. It's good for your physical health, getting out in the bush. Yeah. So there needs to be some sort of change. And I alone can't affect that change, but I think like people that are invested in that community, particularly the industry, I'd love to see some companies getting behind some of these sorts of movements and putting some money towards it. But as soon as it becomes political, it becomes hard.
Yeah, well, I think Ruthie was telling us about that. Didn't he have someone on board? He had a sponsor that he had a deal put together with them to do another show. This is years ago, but he passed some sort of comment about, the Unlock Australia stuff and this and that, and it got under their skin that I think it was about not paying for camping sites or whatever like that, and it might have been a caravan joint or something. I'd have to double check what it was, but it might have been a caravan shop or company that was going to fund a show, and he'd gone on and said, you shouldn't have to pay for this stuff publicly, and they went, well, if that's your opinion, we're out. Yep. And so they walked away from the deal. It's like, because his whole thing, that Unlock Australia was, and as we found out, that's why Milo's green, because it disappears because he's like, fuck paying for camping. It's like, it's our land, Yeah. So, yeah, I think the trust in that small percentage of people that ruin the trust, it's probably got us to a point where it's either going to have to be managed or we'll lose it. Yes. We'll continue to lose it.
And, with my petition, like Full Drive 24/7 shared it. Yeah. Tyler Thompson shared it. Matt Preston shared it. Like guys with mega platforms, right? Yeah. And then I've got all these people messaging me privately going, well, why hasn't Sean done anything about this? I'm like, well, his channel has, for a start. Yeah. But also, we can sit there, anyone with a platform and with followers can say this to the community. Yeah. But the people that are doing the dumb shit won't listen anyway. No. And that's the problem. So, like, I think some sort of managed system, be it lock and key or whatever, or you've got to be a member of a club, or it's annoying. I don't want to have to do it, but like, if it means that I can still go to those places, I'll do it.
Yeah, I think it's going to need something, whether it's lock and key. I mean, the drama with, I mean, I guess there's some keys that say, you know, do not copy on them and shit like that, because you want to be, you know, that's a little harder. And then if you lose the key, you know, I don't know, maybe it's lockbox stuff. I think the technology's there now for stuff like reading number plates.
It doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to be a gate.
Well, there doesn't need to be a gate, but you've got to have, if they're going to get on board with not locking us out, there's going to have to be some restriction on who can get in.
Yeah. Recently, a dude I know, Paulie, who's got like, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and TikTok, and he's got a really successful YouTube channel he just started.
Yeah.
Him and his mates were up in the Vic High Country.
Right.
And went wheeling. And then that was it. They all went home. And then like 4 days later, they all got letters saying, bring your vehicles into Melbourne for an inspection by Highway Patrol and the EPA. And they're like,
right,
what the hell?
So there's cameras out there then?
Yeah. So they've gone, oh, I just got this letter. Oh, I just got one of them too. Oh, hang on a minute. And it was that group of boys that had been out on that day, right? They hadn't seen a cop all day. It hadn't been pulled over. Nothing. Yeah. Paulie went, and his car's engineered. So he's like, whatever, man. But I live in Geelong and I've got to bring my car to Melbourne and I run my own business and I've got to take a day off work before Christmas. So like, I can't come. And they're like, if you don't come, we're going to cancel a reg on your vehicle permanently. Like, you have to come.
Wow.
He's like, okay, righto. And he goes in and he's like, what is this about? Like, I didn't even get pulled over. And they go, oh, we got trail cams up there that got number plate recognition. We just run the plate and go, oh yeah, that looks like it's illegally modified, and we just send you a letter. So they've got the technology to do that. So run those trail cams.
Yeah.
If someone's doing dumb shit, then send them a massive fine. And I think that's the other part of it, right? Like, I'm not up for paying money for the right to do something, but I'm fully supportive of paying money when you do the wrong thing. So if someone goes and lights a fire in a national park in a fire ban, give them like a $20,000 fine, like something stupid, right?
Yeah.
Make the punishment so severe that people go, oh, maybe I won't do that.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's no enforcement of the rules.
Yeah.
So the subsequent choice of national parks is, well, if we just put a gate on it and no one goes in there, then the problem's solved.
Yeah, but then you're limited by the sheer expense of having trail cams cover an entire area.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Then, whereas the other way is doing a gate, having a, say, Queensland wide, and the same as they do with Rego, Queensland wide, New South Wales wide, Victoria wide, permit. And it's like within Queensland, anything that's got a gate has a number plate recognition thing like they do there, and it'll let you in.
Yep.
You know, if they've already got that technology, you go, okay, well, yes, it might suck, but it doesn't have to be much. It could be $10 for the year. It's so that they know who's there.
Yeah.
Because we've brought this up before as well. When we were doing a clean up of glass house a few years ago, it wasn't just Maccas and beer bottles. Like, there was couches and mattresses and shit there. Like,
always,
these guys didn't go there with a trailer to go wheeling. They went there with a trailer to use it as a dump.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's. I think, I don't know what the answer is, but if they've got that technology and everybody that wants to go somewhere, like, they're gonna keep shutting shit. So it's like, as long as, like, when you sign up to your $50 for the year, whatever it is, there's a disclaimer in there about, you know, vehicle damage, you know, and personal injury and all that sort of stuff that's not on parks.
Yeah.
Like, enter at your own risk kind of thing. And the reg of the vehicle, and then that way they can turn around and go, right, if something goes wrong, we know who's been in there.
Yeah.
You know, so managing it more than just locking it up. I mean, it's still, I think it's like you said, it's trying to find a middle ground, because they're obviously at a point where they're like, this is too fucking hard. Yeah. Like, so we'll shut a gate. We'll put a gate there, you can't get in.
Well, it's proven that works, right?
Well, yeah. But I think the push, though, is like, because we've spoken about having Lucas from the Springs come down. Because I think that's their kind of I think their idea is to go, right, this is a niche group, like go to places like the Springs or what, Land Cruiser Mountain used to be or wherever else is still operational. So that it's insurable, it's managed, the land's managed, whatnot else, I think that's their kind of concept because of the very small part of our group percentage-wise that does the wrong thing, but then also these dickheads will use it as a dump.
Yeah, I've had that conversation with a few people about four-wheel drive parks.
Yeah.
I'd love to own one, like when I'm a bit older. That'd be like a good retirement gig, I reckon. Like just buy a sick property somewhere, cut heaps of tracks in, just spend my days in a dozer pushing in new tracks. Just like have young frothers come out and just destroy their cars on my property and I could watch them and not do it myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that's always been like in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll do that one day.
Yeah.
But four-wheel drive parks aren't for everyone.
No.
Insurance is a problem for the owners of the park and for people driving their vehicles because there's always that grey area about private property and insurance. Like anyone who's been involved in race cars of any kind would know.
Yeah.
But the other thing for me is it takes out a bit of the adventure.
Yeah, the discovery.
I like going to new places and going and exploring cool stuff and finding tracks that you didn't know existed and all that. Whereas a four-wheel drive park, like, how many times are you going to go to the same park?
Yeah.
I don't know. For some people, maybe they really enjoy it. And then it becomes more like a racetrack where, like people go to the same racetracks all the time. So maybe it is okay. But I feel like the adventure and the exploratory part of four-wheel driving, that's what we're risking losing.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that component of it. And I mean, like, it's hard from my side because I've always been I'll look at a hill and go, what's this going to cost me? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of like, when I do trips, I think because everything is so hectic, I kind of like, when we go to Cancuna, 7-10 days, whatever it is, I'm like, I'll have a bit of a play on the way up. We'll stop in at some tracks on the way up. There's a little playground kind of before you get there. Yeah. And then for the most part, I'm on my ass drinking beer and relaxing for the majority of the time. Yeah. When we've had a play at Glasshouse, we'll maybe do a full day at Glassy and then go and camp at one of the spots up there. I can't even think of what the place is called. It's a beautiful spot about 25 minutes away from Glasshouse, and it's all cut in up on this hill.
Oh yeah,
and you can have fires there and everything. Beautiful spot, all managed, and then you pack up in the morning, go out and have another play, and then piss off home. It's just a nice little weekend play. So I don't know I don't have an argument against that because I couldn't tell you how many times I've done some of the tracks at Glassy. It's like the different vehicles that I've had, the different weather that's been there. It's like it's always fun, and sometimes it's a lot of those tracks because they loop, you can do them backwards.
Yeah, of course.
But I get the concept of the excitement of either exploring and finding a new track or cutting in a new track. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm not putting shit on four-wheel drive parks. Like, I definitely think they have their place.
Yeah.
I had Sean on my show recently, and I asked him that. I said, do you reckon that the future of four-wheel driving is four-wheel drive parks? And he's like, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like, we've only got to look at the evidence, right? Every year, more stuff gets closed. Like, I saw last year, I think it was last year, the Big Red and Little Red just got bulldozed up in the Glassy.
Yep. It's
Like,
all been
was
flattened.
it because some dude flipped his car and then the video went viral on Instagram? Maybe.
Look,
but it doesn't matter.
No.
Because every year, more and more stuff gets shut down. And the biggest problem I think we're facing at the moment is every time something gets shut, it just concentrates all those four-wheel drives into an ever-lessening number of tracks.
Yeah.
And then the damage gets worse and it gets more publicised. And then it's like, it's a downward spiral, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, when that happened, the amount of different stuff that was kicking around on the internet as to why within 3 days I was like, all right, this is bullshit. There's too many different things. I'm going to make some phone calls.
Yep.
And so we got put through to the state forestries and then the company, because that's the thing too. It's not forestries that actually manage it. They hire, contract.
Yeah.
that out. And so I got put through to somebody, and he was like, "Look, don't quote my name."
Yeah, of course.
But he goes, and he explained all the siltation of that area and the runoff, and it's because it's really easy to go, well, people are leaving rubbish and rolling their trucks and suing.
Yep.
That's a really easy grab. But his pitch was a lot more in depth than that, and it was he took me through the legislation that they've got up there. Is it was basically nothing motorized. It was you could walk it, you could ride a horse through it.
Really?
Like from the entry of Glassy, the main road that takes you to past the lookout and out, that's a thoroughfare. It's gazetted, whatever. But anything off that was in the legislation was horse and foot.
Yeah, right.
Like no motorbikes, no nothing. And what I took from that was, as much as it sucks, but what I took from that was we haven't lost anything because we've never really had it. We've just gotten away with it for a while.
Yeah.
But that's whatever that governing body is for Glasshouse Mountain specifically. I don't know anything about the Victorian High Country management and stuff like that, but Moreton Bay, Glasshouse Mountain, stuff like that, that's been in that legislation for decades and decades and decades, that it was designed for the horseback
horse-drawn carriages.
I guess so. Yeah, it was horseback and walking, other than that main thoroughfare through it.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of took back from that because it was hard, because I was talking to Ruthie about that as well, and he's like, if it's not privately owned, like someone's farm, like or Lucas's place. He's like, we shouldn't have to pay for it, and secondly, they shouldn't be able to control where we go on it. And I'm like, and I totally agree with that. But then at the same time, they're like, well, this has been the laws for forever. We just haven't been able to enforce them, and you've gotten away with it. So now that we're being forced to enforce them, you feel like you've lost something, but you never really had it. And that made me go, oh, fuck, now I'm like, now I don't know. Like, is it really, have we really lost it if it was never really ours, we were just getting away with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we have. We have. But still, I did end that conversation, and I was on the phone to him for about an hour and a half, and it's like I'm condensing the conversation and also my memory of it. But I did hang up the phone going, fuck, all right, okay. He made some good points there.
Maybe I should employ him. He sounds like a good marketer.
Yeah, well, he sold me.
Yeah.
I definitely hung up the phone going, yeah, all right, okay, that makes sense. But either way, whether we should or shouldn't have had it, it still sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's the reality, right? Like, I never drove those tracks. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Now I won't.
Big Red and Little Red, I'm pretty sure that's all that got flattened. There's still a shit ton of fun out there.
Oh, yeah. I've driven some pretty gnarly stuff up there. And there's heaps more to do. That.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's tracks that I've been in Queensland for forever, and I've been going up there now for 10 years. And I guarantee there's stuff I haven't driven.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
a big
my
playground.
background.
I guess the problem is...
Or backyard, rather.
You look at it and it's like, I always worry about the long term, not just the individual. Oh yeah, Big Red got flattened. Who cares? Oh, well, we can still drive this other stuff. Yeah, but then they closed that.
Yeah,
then, do you know what I mean? So, really, for me, this whole petition, this whole like everything that I've been doing about vocalizing what I think.
Yeah,
it's about my daughter.
Yeah,
it's about. Well, as I said, from 3 months of age, she was camping and four-wheel driving with us.
Yeah,
she's gonna like it, whether she wants to or not. I'm going to make sure of that. So when she's 18, where's she going to go?
Well, we're losing beaches too, but for a totally different reason.
And this is the thing, right? So it's like, well, I want my daughter to live outdoors as much as possible because I think it's good for you and I think it's good for all of us. Yeah. And I'm worried about what the future looks like if it keeps going the way it's going. That's really the motivator for me.
Yeah. No, I get that. And you know what? It's I don't know where I heard this, but there was something to do with like the thought process for, what was it? The thought process for a man of planting a tree for which he'll never have the benefit of its shade, or something like that. Yeah. Thinking forwards in the next, and the following generation and stuff like that it's hard because at the moment we're experiencing the decline of the numbers of tracks and access to places and The beach stuff pisses me off because I actually haven't asked that for a while. Is what people's preferences are, beach or bush? I'm definitely beach.
Really?
I love the beach. It's the water. That for me for a week of just listening to waves crash or water running, like Kenilworth Campground, Shane's dairy farm that he's got up there. There's a beautiful spot that I actually saw for the first time on Action, and then went up there, went camping, and went looking for it. It's a pretty specky little spot, but there's where the creek comes together and it bottlenecks, and then runs off down. There's a log that when you lie down on that log and your shoulders are on the log, your head's above the water and the water just runs over you.
Oh, sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, it's great. Running water for me, the beach is just the easiest one because it's always making noise. Going to sleep and listening to that for a week
Bit of
for
that
me
white
is
noise sort of stuff.
yeah, it just is like just discharges all the built up stress and shit. So, but the beach is, I mean, that's a big one too. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with that because they just keep sort of giving away access to it for an entirely different reason, which is, that's a whole fucking can of worms on its own as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. I can see a future in the not too distant future where there will be no vehicles on beaches anywhere in Australia.
Yeah.
I can see that being a reality. There's a rare seabird that nests here every 15 years. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. No more cars.
We had that at Bribey where we were at Banksia Beach, like our bedroom. Go to the balcony. There's a little back street, and there's the beach, and right from the bedroom you can see there's these little bollards, and then it says like no access,
Because of the nesting seabirds or
something like that. Yeah, you're not even allowed to walk on it. Now, I mean, okay, I'm not about going out and fucking killing animals and whatever else. Like, I get it, but it's just like fuck. Everything's got a reason not to do it.
Yeah. Oh, the one that gets me is down in New South Wales. We've got Stockton Beach, just in Newcastle.
Yeah.
And like huge sand dune playground, and like back in the day, it was loose. You could there was buggies in there and motos. And people jumping cars, and like it was pretty out there.
Yeah.
They just went, oh, actually, no, this is a sacred Aboriginal site. It's all locked, can't. And they just put bollards up and locked the whole thing off. You're like, okay. And then they locked off another bit, and they're like, oh, it's because of erosion. And you go, it's a sand dune. Like, it moves.
Yeah.
They move meters every year.
Yeah.
And then they opened a sand mine. And it's like,
Wow.
oh, okay. So we can't drive a four-wheel drive vehicle on the sand dune because it might erode or disturb the vegetation, but you can literally mine the sand and then send it over to, I don't know, Dubai or wherever they're sending it to build islands with.
Yeah.
And you go, okay.
Those fuckers over there are loose.
Yeah, they're like, we need a city here. Let's build one in the ocean. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
There's that palm tree thing that they, whatever it was.
Is it Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi do it. Yeah, but they get their patrols and stuff and all the four-wheel drives up on the top of the dunes. And they're like, you watch them and they're standing around it.
Yeah, there's heaps of videos on the internet of dudes getting cleaned up by them. I've watched probably more than I should of those.
It's nuts. Yeah. But then there was a thing, actually, I haven't seen that for a while, where they'd bloody get the things up to like Camrys and shit.
On two wheels.
Full noise on two wheels or like, left lane to right lane, at like, and then they'll
dudes hanging out the
360
windows and
fuck, it's crazy.
Those sand dune ones are sick though. Like they've got like a big GQ patrol scene over there.
Yeah.
Which I find so sick.
Yeah.
And they love the TB48 with like the big turbo on the Haltech.
Yeah.
Like wastegate out the bonnet and stuff. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, well, they got more money than fucking.
Well, at least they're doing something good with it. They're building sick patrols and just flogging them in the sand dunes.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. What's you've got, okay, so the GQ, you've still got the GQ, right?
It's in Brizzy at the moment as well.
Yeah, you've still got the 80 that you've got now is the first 80 you bought.
Yeah.
Right, okay. What haven't you bought yet? What's on the bucket list of something to buy and build?
F100.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Like new stuff or old? No.
Old school. Yeah, like a bullnose or something. Like late 70s, early 80s F100.
Okay, all right.
4x4 one would be sick, but even if it's two-wheel drive one, I don't care. I just love that like 80s, 90s American truck, like the pickup style,
Yep.
big bench seat in the front, patina. Like,
Yep.
I don't want a fancy one.
No, I don't. Yeah, mine's I think it's the mid 50s, the 55, 56, the Chevs and the Fords. I love the round body on them.
Yeah.
That one, I want to get one of them and hot rod it.
Yeah.
But there was one. Do you remember Varsity Blues? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Had old mate from Dawson's Creek in it. Bring up. I think it was it Billy Bob, the big boy in Varsity Blues. Bring up Varsity Blues, Billy Bob's truck. Like it's that. I want to say they're like a '90s one though, but they jack them up like not like they do now with
like the
engraved
Seamer
wheels
builds,
and
yeah.
shit. Like, that's mental. That's just you got too much bloody money or time or something. But those they're I love them. They're like it's just like a polished farm truck. No, was that it really? I would have thought it was. I didn't think that was his truck. I thought he had a way newer one. Oh no, there he is, isn't it? There. Okay, that's what you're talking. Oh, that's what you're talking about off to the right side, though.
Yeah. Anything like, I don't know, I just like the 90s when it came to cars.
Yeah.
But with these things, like, I reckon the 80s was the golden era, like the real just boxy square things. And like I said, I wouldn't want anything fancy. Like, I just want an old one that's pretty original.
Yeah.
Big lazy V8, maybe like a column shift on it.
Yes.
Just cruise around.
Column
in it,
shift,
like,
column shift auto, bench seat, squeeze your
man.
lady over.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I was just thinking, like, I live near the beach, so like being able to just cruise up and down the beach with my daughter, like not the beach, but you know, the foreshore with my daughter when she gets a bit older, like, yeah, I can see myself doing that.
That's cool.
And I don't know, if I get a four-wheel drive one, that's probably a bad move because then I'll start modifying it and doing dumb shit to it. Whereas if it's like a two-wheel drive one, it's just like a sled.
Yeah.
Just a street car, that'd be
That's
cool.
true. Well, that's only a different transfer case away anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I've already got four-wheel drives. What do I need another one of them for? And parts for those things. Expensive, right?
Yeah, the conversion, like some of the stuff, I think if I ever did an American trip, I would do it as a business trip because I would be buying some stuff and
Filling containers.
yeah, because I mean, it's probably changed a little bit because Gas Monkey's been off Discovery for a while, but some of the stuff that they were buying and what they were paying for it, you were like, they're bartering over $300 between $1,200 and $1,500, and you're like, that's like 30 grand here.
Yeah, I'll buy 10 of them.
Yeah. Like, fuck, don't worry about the conversion rate. Like, that's like the early Fords and Chevs that I like. I remember one of the episodes they were arguing over a couple $100 and it was like $1,500.
Yeah, you're like, whatever, mate.
Like, who cares? That's what is that? Even if it's, are we double? Like, is it $1,500, $3 grand?
Not quite.
Not quite.
Like 62 cents or something at the moment.
God, but even you'd go over and go, right, here's $5 grand each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever the change is, keep it because it's coming back here and it's 30.
It's just a different world over there, eh?
Yeah, well, they're everywhere. You know, maybe not like what they used to be, but that would be cool. Bringing back something like that and converting it.
Yeah, I reckon something like that. That's probably it. Yeah, I mean, the days of imports for me, I still love them, but the pricing is just ridiculous. They're just stupid. Like, I'd love to buy a 32 GTR, but I will never own one of those cars. Even if I've got the money to buy one, I won't spend that much money on that car. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's there. A lot of that stuff's getting into the point of, you know, either collectors or guys that are only buying them because they know they're just going to get more valuable.
And I just think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, whereas a classic muscle car, like, I feel like they're worth something. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird concept, but like,
No, I get it.
I feel like you're getting something. It's like, yeah, of course, it's 50, 60 years old or whatever, and it's got chrome bumpers, and it's
It's got a bit of soul in it.
there's a bit of character. Whereas,
get
like,
that.
I don't know. I had this conversation with someone recently, like, you know, 80 series Land Cruisers, GQ Patrols. Do you reckon any of the current crop of vehicles are going to have the same cult following in another 30 years? Like, are people going to be like frothing D-Maxes in 30 years? I can't see it.
No, I mean, if they're still around even, like, you know, we see this a lot with the new dual cabs. Like, I keep saying to people with the plastic tub liners, like, fuck them off. if you don't want to put in a painted one, fine, but fuck that off. There's so much twist in the newer cars that these plastic liners are just rubbing through paint, and someone will come down here and I mean, we're talking not old, like, you know, and we'll take the plastic liner out, and because they're not fully sealed, so much rust. Between dealerships drilling holes and all swarf going down the back of them, which we were talking about the other day, we only just had, or just the use of it and having moisture and shit get to the raw steel, it's fucking nuts. But you know, look, I'm a 80 series fan. I love the 80s. I've got one out there that we're building now, which I've fucking been building for way too long. But I like the GQs. Like I love that truck. It was it was like driving a bus, but it was fun. You know. So all right, well, yeah, this will be out like after the show. But I mean, are you anything coming up that we can know about that GME is doing?
Yeah, we've got a bit going on. I've got a few more trips planned with 4-wheel drive 24/7 this year.
Well, how do you work that out? Is that do you go like we're going to do 5, or is it one-offs, or you just see how it goes? Or
there's a lot that goes into it. It's a big investment.
Yeah,
it costs a lot of money. Time is my biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Time away from my family.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's do a trip every month. Well, let's not. If you're like a single bloke in your 20s, maybe that sounds like the sickest thing ever. But now with my daughter, like, I go away for 2 weeks and I miss stuff.
Yeah.
And that hurts. And like, I'm also putting a lot more pressure on my wife by doing that. So I do a few trips a year.
Also, your wife's an advocate for the trip, so you're like...
She is, but she's an advocate when she gets to come.
That's what I mean. You know, she's like... You know, my message would be like, fuck, go. I don't want to be down there
I get a bit of like, well, that sucks that I can't come.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's an issue. So, yeah, we'll do a couple of trips this year with those boys. The cars will be at all of the major 4-wheel drive shows. So we've got them up in Brizzy this week. And then we'll do Melbourne show, Eastern Creek show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, man. This year, I want to go to some places I've never been before. Do a bit more touring. Definitely want to do a whole bunch more hard wheeling in the GQ. I feel like its first trip that we did was that Tassie trip, and teething issues, bad luck, call it whatever you want. Like it sucked.
There is nothing other than bad luck in that fucking winch rope. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, but you know, like mid-mount winch, rope under the car, hook through the window. Like, I'll never do that again.
But
you don't think it's going to happen, right?
That's a whole clusterfuck of different things to go at once.
And it's funny, like, even this morning on the way up, I was in the Goldie, and a bloke stopped me because I was in the 80, and he came up and had a chat, and he's like, have you fixed the GQ? And I said, yeah, that was actually shot like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Or 5 months ago. We've done another trip in the car since then.
Yeah.
And those episodes come out, I think, later this month. And we did like a New South Wales local trip, and it was just a hardcore wheeling trip.
Yeah.
Heaps of rocks and like just gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
No mud, which was great because I've had enough bog holes.
Yes.
And the car was flawless.
Yeah.
Like, it did everything it was supposed to do. We made some changes to the winch.
Yeah. It was the Toyota badge.
It was the Toyota badge. As soon as the Toyota badge left, and I put all the glass back in the car, because we smashed like pretty much every window and mirror in the car on that trip. Then it was fine. So yeah, now that car's back together, everything's working the way it's meant to. I just want to drive it as much as I possibly can because it's fun, that thing.
Yeah.
Like that car has one purpose, and that is just to drive up dumb things. So I want to do more of that.
I get it. Yeah. What about the podcast? You got any? Are you up to sort of banking them up? Did you say you've got a few?
Yeah, so
ready?
I've got a few. So I did 26 episodes over 26 weeks last year.
Right.
And then I took a break over December, January just to spend some time with my family.
Yeah.
So I started season 2 a couple of weeks ago. So I've done, what have I got? I think 26 was Shauno. So I kicked off season 2 with Sean, which was a good one.
Yep.
So yeah, I've got 3 or 4 up my sleeve now. I'm going to shoot another 3 or 4 while I'm up here this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, just trying to stay ahead.
Yeah.
And like the weekly releases is hard to keep up with, but I think it's worthwhile at this point where I'm trying to build the channel.
Yeah.
Just having that like consistency. And it was funny, you know, like over Christmas when I took that break, I had people messaging me going like, when are you going to start releasing episodes again? I need something to listen to. I'm like, all right, champion, well, I need some time with my family. So you just wait. But, you know, it's great that the community's engaged and people are enjoying the content. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Plans for that, heaps more travel,
Yeah.
heaps of different people, like, you know, getting over to WA. Going to be in the States a couple of times this year, so I've got some guests over in the States that are lined up.
Nice.
So just to get like a different perspective altogether.
Yeah. Well, they call it overlanding, don't they?
Yeah, overlanding.
Yeah.
It's very different. And overlanding can be like in a motorhome or like on a motorbike. So I went to like one of the overland expos last year, and there's like a whole moto section.
Yeah, right.
So
they're big into their bikes over there for that sort of stuff. Like, you know, swag on the back and piss off.
And overlanding can be like, there's a company over there called Earth Cruiser out of Colorado, and they do like F550s with monocoque carbon fiber campers on the back, and they're like mint.
Good
like
Lord.
the interior fit outs are off the chain, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking at one of these things and I'm like, this is sick. How much is this worth? And he's like, 1.3 million US. And I'm like, oh my God. Who buys these things? And
so
like,
we do those Ivecos and that here.
yeah,
and
no,
like
this is next level. Like
Yeah, right.
Earth Cruiser is the brand.
Earth Cruiser.
And I said,
Bring that up. I got to see this.
yeah, there's some sick ones. Like,
Yeah.
they've got like a Sandy Torp one that's like one of their promo builds, and it's just like I've crawled all over it, and it's off tap, this thing. And I said, like, who's your customer base? And they're like, oh, all sorts of people. Like, we do about 50 a year. And I'm like, okay, so you're doing one a week at over $1 million US. That's a bloody good business.
Yeah.
And you think about like a business like that trying to sustain itself in Australia. It's probably not possible, right? We don't have the population to support it.
No.
But over there, like a niche is quite big
Well, because
because they've
there's
got 350 million people or whatever.
Yeah. I think at one point we were talking about this. I think New York had the same amount of people in it as Australia. Not all that long ago.
So yeah, like the American stuff is just so interesting for me because it's so different.
Look, I had a conversation. I got reached out to by somebody over in the States about my 79 bonnets for the 80s. And there was the transport that killed it, basically doubled the price of the bonnet. But it was a really interesting chat, and he was like, would you consider, if we could line up a few, would you consider coming over and doing a heap? And I'm like, that blew my mind because I was like, surely there's like I haven't really invented anything here. Like, surely there's people over there that can get their head around it. But the conversation went on and on and on and on. Had a bit more of a chat. It's like the concept of going over there and just doing 80s, like, and chopping them, like building them like how we build them, chop tray, canopy, all the gear. No, that's Australia.
Yeah.
Just hit image.
Yeah.
Or USA, yeah, that'll probably be better.
That's the one. Earth Cruiser Overland Vehicles, I think. Yeah, I think that's them.
It doesn't look all that big there, but
they're
that's
massive.
Did you say I thought they were 650.
550 was the ones.
Right. That's still
got that
fucking
one?
enormous.
Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe is it Earth Roma? Anyway, I'll send you a link to the ones that I found. I don't think that's the brand. It might be Earth Roma. Try that. It's something like that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing. So when you talk overlanding, it's not like four-wheel drive touring and overlanding is interchangeable. It's kind of like
It's its own thing.
overlanding is like literally just driving overland in any kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
But I'm really keen to get into like the wheeling over there, like because their idea of wheeling is next level. It's
some of
it's
this
buggies on trailers, like
Yeah.
rear steers and
Yeah.
disconnects and like hydro steering and like they go hard.
Yeah, some of the stuff that even Sean, I put that 60 series through, like between the boulders, and I was like,
That's the one. Earth Roma. I got it
there you
wrong.
go.
So yeah, Earth Roma, Colorado. That's what I was talking about. So that's a 550.
That looks like it's all bloody Raptor lined.
Yeah, it is. It's like
Line-X
or
they do,
whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
So sorry, Earth Roma.
Okay, so you've got a caravan on the back of your F truck.
Yeah, but that thing is a one-piece carbon fiber shell.
Well, then you think about that. I mean, obviously the development of it would have been fucking expensive, but
Crazy.
you think about that then, like basically they've just created a production line for a specific vehicle that they can charge a shit ton for.
They're like handmade.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, like taking a 550 and then chopping it and extending it and putting that thing on the back. But it's unbelievable. Like it's
interesting though. Like it's horses for courses too. Because one of the things I remember Ruben saying about the big rig that he took on the trips from DMW is like that truck should not have been on some of those tracks.
Oh, the Y62.
I think so. Yeah, the chopped one. Yeah, he's like, look, you know, I'm all for going out and having fun, and you know, Barney was like, yeah, the wildest wheeler that we've been out with, fucking Ruben, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like he goes, but that truck was not built for that shit.
And like, don't get me wrong. So have a look at, if you just click LTX up the top, I think is the LTX the big one. What do we got? Yeah, I think the LTX is the bigger one again. So that's the ones we were looking at when we were over there. And like, you're not going to take that up the Glass House Mountains, right?
No.
But I'm like,
Wow.
okay, Simpson Desert, hell yeah. Like, that's how you do the Simo.
Yeah.
And when I was asking the guys, I was like, you know, who are your customers? He said like Jason Momoa or something, like some Hollywood dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, the owners of our vehicles will ship them all over the world.
Yeah.
So they literally build them to tour the globe. And I'll get the details of this wrong if I try and get it right, but I can give you the essence of it.
Yeah.
He said that one of their customers was this woman, and she's like obscenely rich. I don't know how or why or whatever, but she's rich.
Yeah.
She's got one of these Earth Roamer things, and she had it in the US, and it was meant, look at the interior fit out on these things.
Wow.
It's just like crazy. And they were saying they use like, they're all custom built, obviously, and like the buyer can spec the type of timber that they want to use. So like the buyers will be like, oh, there's this particular tree that's really common in this area that I used to go as a kid, so I want that wood. It's like that level.
Bloody hell.
So anyway, this woman had an Earth Roamer, and it was in the US, and she arranged for it to be shipped. I think it was to South America. And she went down there and she went all over South America and did this trip.
Yeah.
And then it was meant to be getting shipped back. And the shipping company completely cooped it, right? Like,
Right.
they accidentally sent her truck to Europe.
Right.
And she was like harassing them, going like, where is my truck? Like, this thing's worth a fortune. I'm like, I want it back. And they were like, we don't really know. And then they go, oh yeah, it's in Europe. And she goes, righto, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to pay to ship that back over here
Yeah.
to a port of my choice, but you're not going to do that for a year. And so she just flew to Europe and then just drove this thing all around Europe for a year and then got it shipped back to the US. And I was like, that's about as baller as you can get, eh? Like,
Yeah,
and also having the ability to just go, I'm just going to fly to Europe and spend a year touring over there. But like, that's the customer for that kind of vehicle.
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate fucking, lemonade out of lemons, I guess.
Oh, yeah. What a great story, though. Like, and as I said, the details of where she went, that was the essence of it. And I was
that's
like,
all right. We don't fact check
that's
much.
pretty good. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Don't cancel me.
But yeah, no, that's pretty. See, like you picture that in like an 04 Hilux. That's about what I'll build. Take off around with that.
Imagine the podcast studio on the back of that, though. That'd be sick.
We had that. We were like, you know what? If we get this to a point where I can fit it out, where we've got either a caravan and like however it is, so that we can travel.
Yeah.
And we've got the backspace to do the podcast, and I can fit it out right, and I'm not like with a fucking wall. Like
you don't want to be uncomfortable.
No, I thought that would be a cool thing. Do a year just taking it on the road.
Buy one of them, man.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Maybe hit them up and just see if they're interested in some sort of sponsorship arrangement.
I might vendor finance it for the next 600 years. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's cool.
Oh, it's sick. But then, it is ridiculous. But then what's your equivalent here? Like a 300 series with a mega long van on the back of it. It's still not built to that standard.
No.
And it's like, look at the wheels and tyres on that. Like, it's running, I think they were like 39s or something on maybe 40s.
Wow.
So it's super capable.
Our version of that, though, would be, like a Y62, but not chopped. and a big caravan.
Yeah, and I mean, I know like the Ivecos and like the
There's
Canters
that.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can't compare it to that. Like in terms of the level of fit out.
Yeah.
Those trucks are cool though.
Well,
I know Jamie's really into them, right? Like he's got, is it a Canter?
What's the Australian Bushman? What's he's running?
I think he's got a Canter
big
or something.
Fucking van.
Big orange thing.
Yeah, orange and
Yeah,
black, and
sick.
his bloody caricature on the side of it. It's like, you're not going to lose that in a car park.
Nah, but I guess that's the equivalent. And like I said, I just don't think there's the market. It's not. I don't think there is not the market to sustain that here.
Not that amount of money. Although, look, just up the road, we've got one of those guys that build the trucks. And we're getting the big boss coming down for an episode, and they're over $1 million. Yeah. I'm 90% sure they're over
like
$1 million.
AEV or one of those sort of
something
models.
like that. Yeah, Australian adventure vehicles. Yeah, them.
Yeah, but this is 1.3 US.
Yeah, right.
So you're talking like well over. Well, what's that? Close
at least
to,
2.
Yeah, well over 2. So it's mega money.
Yeah,
There
it
is
is.
Jamie's one.
Yeah, that looks like an Iveco.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. The Unimogs are a cool bit of kit.
Yeah,
if you're going down that track.
I stayed in Coffs last night on the way up, and there was a New South Wales ambulance hazardous area rescue Unimog.
Right.
And like this thing was a spanker. It was like it didn't have a scratch on it. It looked like it had literally just been built, but it was like a U4030 Unimog, so like a late model Mog with this huge fit out on it. And it was the sickest thing I've ever seen. I was like just out there. I got into the motel like 1 a.m. I was cooked, and I was just like looking at that thing going, yeah, you could have a lot of fun in this. Like, if you're gonna be a paramedic, do it in that thing.
Oh yeah.
The Unimogs are sick. Any of that big truck stuff. But again, it's like it depends what you want to do, right? If you're gonna go wheeling, it's not that.
No, and I think there's that component for us because we want to do in Australia so many different things. I think the caravan works for us because you can have a really capable
unhitch
cruiser,
the van and off you go.
Yeah, and then you're out playing for the day. And there was one I saw. It was on YouTube. I have no idea where it was, but the back of the van, where I think it might have been the bed. Underneath that, the back of the van folded down. It was a Zook pulled out, so you could rock up with the big rig, you know, cruiser, patrol, whatever. You got all this luxury stuff, and there's a fucking Suzuki Sierra in the back of it.
Little play toy, that's sick.
Or Jimny, whatever they are now. But yeah, I mean, it's all just money.
Yeah, well, and that's it. You can do whatever you want. You just got to fund it somehow, right?
That's it. Well, look, we'll wrap it up because I'm sure you've got a big next few days, and you've just had a lot of driving, and it's getting fucking cold in here.
It is getting cold in here. Hey, I was like losing feeling in my fingertips.
I'm like,
I thought it was just me.
No, I'm going. I'm like, well, it's it's getting pretty cold. It's getting pretty late, so we better get you back to your kiddos.
Yeah,
it's been a minute. We've been chatting for a while, so
yeah, it happens.
But mate, I really appreciate you coming up. It was a pleasure to meet you and hear all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, you too, man.
Which is why we do it, because I love the stuff that maybe can't or either don't have time for or whatever on the shows.
Yeah.
And hearing all the behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, good luck with the show. Have a safe drive back. Have a safe bit of fun while you're up here.
Yeah, I will.
And I'm sure we'll see you around again soon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Beauty. Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.